Chapter 1. Transmigrating into an old man's body to cook and cure anorexia? In Long Country, Jiang City, Lin Guodong pulled out his phone, gazing at the unfamiliar visage reflected in the selfie camera. The man appeared to be around 60, with white hair and beard, and a face adorned with more wrinkles than his life plans. No way. I've transmigrated into the body of an old man. Before his thoughts could settle, a woman's voice interrupted him. Sir, how much for this fast food? Lin Guodong glanced at the weathered blue tricycle, which held a silver food cabinet. Inside the square compartments lay an array of dishes. So, this old man is in the catering business too. Thankfully, I'm well versed in this. He then looked at the female customer, who appeared to be around 50, and instinctively pointed at the price list beside him, his voice emerging as an aged, slightly hoarse rasp. Ma'am, there's a price list. Upon hearing this, the woman's eyes widened in disbelief, her brows nearly reaching her hairline, unable to suppress her rising ire. Hey, who are you calling ma'am? You're the ma'am. Your whole family's a ma'am. Fuming, she turned on her heel and walked away. For women, age is a line that should not be trifled with. Lin Guodong looked down at his bony arms, speckled with brown age spots, and suddenly realized he was no longer in his 30s, but had leapt ahead to over 60. Goodness, he had skipped 30 years of hardship and could now retire comfortably. As he watched the customer depart, he reluctantly pushed the heavy food cart forward. After only a few steps, he felt a heaviness in his chest, accompanied by aches in his back and cramps in his legs. I can't believe this. Is this what a 60-year-old body feels like? It seems my mother was right when she insisted on wearing long underwear in winter, otherwise I'd suffer from chilly legs and old age. Just as Lin Guodong was hunched over, lamenting his new life, a mechanical voice echoed in his mind. Beep, system notification. Host shows strong dissatisfaction with the arrangement of transmigration. Gourmet healing system has been bound. Complete the first system task. Reward. Enhanced physique, improving physical condition to that of a 50-year-old appearance unchanged. Upon hearing the system's reward, Lin Guodong felt revitalized. With no more aches in his back or legs, he could ascend 5 flights of stairs without breaking a sweat. Yet before he could revel in his newfound vigor, the system's voice chimed in again. System task. Sell food at the hospital, curing 20 patients with anorexia. Rewards are dispensed in real time. Each cure gradually enhances your physique. Lin Guodong's hands froze midair, his aged face reflecting sorrow and anger. Cure anorexia? I'm a chef, not a doctor. Where am I supposed to cure people? I lack medical qualifications, system. Beep, system notification. Host, the task is to heal, not to treat. Food is one of the 3 great spiritual comforts of the world. A flicker of realization shone in Lin Guodong's murky, yellowed eyes. Of course, food is akin to music. The sweetness of cola can stimulate dopamine to bring joy, while the spiciness of hot pot can generate endorphins that elevate one's mood. Those who love to eat are never truly unfortunate, for food brings fortune. With this thought, he pushed the food cart towards an old, run-down community, where the room was a modest 2-bedroom apartment. After a day of exertion, his old arms and legs ached to the point of immobility. Lying flat on the bed, he opened his phone. Goodness, I'm broke. With only 200 yuan to my name? I can't even afford ingredients. How am I supposed to sell a meal? Beep, system notification. Due to the host's financial constraints, a complimentary gift pack has been provided, a higher refrigerator. Suddenly, a colorful phantom appeared in the corner of the room. Moments later, a small, white refrigerator quietly settled in place, as if it had always been there. System, I'm so broke, I can't even buy vegetables. Are you giving me a fridge to keep myself cool? Or do you think at my age, I enjoy cosplaying as the Higher Brothers? Beep, system notification. Host, please refrain from anger. Your current body suffers from high blood pressure. Be cautious. Excessive excitement could be harmful. The refrigerator will provide fresh ingredients daily, of the highest quality. With your previous lives' culinary expertise, you can surely heal the world through cuisine. Setting up a stall incurs no rent or ingredient costs. It's a pure benefit of socialism. As the clock struck 8, his wrinkled eyelids fought against gravity, refusing to cooperate. He had heard that older generations retired to bed by 8 or 9, and he had been skeptical, but now, before he could ponder further, the tranquil room was filled with the sound of his snoring. The following morning, Lin Guodong was awakened by the system's notification, distributing today's ingredients: eggs, tomatoes, rice, spring water, ginger, garlic, and seasonings. PS1. To ensure freshness, any unused ingredients will automatically vanish at the end of the day and refresh the next day. Today's dish is priced at 20 yuan per serving. The host must not miss price, or the system will explode. Lin Guodong roared. Hold on, isn't this just tomato and egg stir-fry over rice? You want me to cure anorexia, and yet you provide such basic fare? Beep, system notification. The host is encouraged to utilize the system's matched ingredients for cooking, as unexpected extra rewards may be granted. Lin Guodong, hearing of potential extra rewards, continued to question the system. but received no further response. Resigned, he sat cross-legged on the floor and opened the higher refrigerator. High-quality, premium ingredients? How fancy can tomato and egg stir-fry get? Suddenly, as he slowly opened the refrigerator door, a wave of intense fragrance enveloped him, as if he were standing in an endless vegetable farm. This aroma Lin Guodong grabbed a few tomatoes, each one vibrant and glistening red. The white specks on the surface indicated excellent ripeness. Unable to resist, he took a bite, and the rich tomato juice burst forth in his mouth. Sweet and tangy, the delightful flavor made his taste buds tingle. In mere moments, he had devoured the tomatoes in hand, and then he took an egg, tapping it against the bowl's edge. What is this? The yolk appeared in the bowl, resembling the fiery wings of a phoenix, while the egg white was transparent and thick. Lin Guodong washed his hands, then delicately inserted 2 fingers into the egg white, lifting the yolk effortlessly without it breaking apart. The remaining rice, spring onions, garlic, and seasonings were all of an exceptional quality, unlike anything Lin Guodong had encountered, even as a national banquet chef in his previous life. He retrieved the ingredients, finding the tomatoes impeccably clean. Yet, out of professional habit, Lin Guodong turned on the faucet and rinsed them thoroughly. He seasoned the beaten egg with salt, diced the tomatoes, and displayed his prowess as a genius chef. With perfect knife skills and angles, the cutting board bore only a few drops of red juice. All the essence remained within the tomatoes. Chopped spring onions, ginger, and garlic were heated in oil, with Lin Guodong's eyes tightly closed. He extended his bony right hand over the oil, feeling the temperature. Silently, he counted 100 degrees, 150 degrees, 180 degrees. His eyes flew open as he poured the egg mixture into the frying pan. The ideal oil temperature evaporated the moisture from the egg mixture into vapor. The edges rose like a puffed pizza crust, and after tossing the pan, he removed the eggs. With the pan coated in oil, the tomatoes were added, emitting a sizzling sound, and white smoke rose, filling the air with a rich tomato aroma. Once the tomatoes had been stir-fried to bring out their fragrant essence, the eggs were added along with the seasonings. Absorbing the tomato juices, the golden eggs subtly revealed hints of amber within. Before serving, a sprinkle of minced garlic added a touch of soul to the dish. Lin Guodong finally tasted the dish with a spoon. This was a habit from his past life. Others tasted food to discern any lack of flavor. He, however, indulged purely for the sake of eating, for he had never erred in seasoning. The flavor. With a single bite, the rich essence of eggs and tomatoes enveloped him. Upon careful savoring, a hint of sweetness emerged, yet I had refrained from adding sugar to preserve the ingredient's natural taste. This sweetness derives from the high-quality tomatoes themselves. As it is swallowed, their subtle acidity returns to the palate. It ignites the appetite, urging one to take another bite. Turning back to the steamer, a bamboo fragrance wafted towards him. Through the mist, he glimpsed the green bamboo tube adorned with glistening droplets. The steamed rice appeared translucent, each grain resembling pure mutton fat jade. The aroma of the rice was rich yet not overwhelming, carrying a faint sweetness that tantalized Lin Guodong's appetite. This was his favorite method of steaming rice from his previous life, where the fresh scent of bamboo harmoniously melded with the rice. It was an entirely different experience compared to rice cooked in an electric rice cooker. If only this rich broth could be mixed with the bamboo-scented rice. At this thought, Lin Guodong's stomach let out a low rumble. He served a plate of rice, drenching it in amber-hued scrambled eggs with tomatoes. The high temperature caused the 2 ingredients to meld instantaneously, and with a single bite, a smile crept onto Lin Guodong's aged face. Indeed, culinary skills may set a chef's limitations, yet it is the quality of the ingredients that defines their potential. This flavor, let alone aversion to food, could cure even the depths of depression. Tomato and scrambled eggs, garnished with scallions, were truly delightful. After tidying up the cart, Lin Guodong donned a pristine white chef's uniform and confidently made his way to the First People's Hospital of Jiangxing. Checking the time, it was precisely 11:30, and the lunchtime rush was imminent. Anorexia nervosa must belong to the psychiatric ward, he mused, pushing the cart into the hospital while inwardly fretting. Oh dear, what if business booms and I can't keep up? However, before he could even enter, a security guard dashed out and positioned himself in front of him. He tapped on the adjacent silver sign, producing a resounding thud. "I'm sorry, sir," the guard stated. "Hospital regulations prohibit small vendors from selling food on the premises to ensure food safety." Chapter 2. As a seasoned anorexia patient, I actually want to eat? Lin Guodong was taken aback, lost in the aroma of scrambled eggs with tomatoes, momentarily forgetting this crucial detail. Not to mention lacking a food safety certificate, he didn't even possess the most basic health certification required for chefs. "Young man, I prepared all this at home. It's clean, hygienic, and delicious." With that, he lifted the silver food cover, releasing an enticing scent that made the guard instinctively sniff, yet he still shook his head. "Sir, if you wish to set up a stall, You may do so at the entrance that is beyond my jurisdiction. This hospital has a cafeteria, and to ensure patient food safety, private vendors are not permitted to sell food inside. Lin Guodong, unwilling to concede, attempted to tempt the guard with the allure of his culinary creation. Young man, my food is truly delectable. If you don't believe me, let me prepare a portion for you to try. The guard, eyeing the enticing scrambled eggs with tomatoes, instinctively swallowed, yet his professional ethics prevailed. Sir, it's not that I'm making things difficult. My duty as a guard prevents me from making exceptions. Please don't put me in a tough spot. You can set up shop outside as well. With that, he ushered Lin Guodong out, leaving him with his frail, stooped body, unable to resist. Hey, young man, think it over. Oh dear, what now? Even if I'm successful outside, they're just ordinary customers. If I can't cure anorexia, I won't complete my mission. My journey through time will have been in vain. It was evident that Lin Guodong was overthinking, as the saying goes, even the finest wine fears a narrow alley. As a roadside vendor, the most crucial element was to attract attention. From 11:30 to 1:30, 2 hours passed, while a nearby stall selling stinky tofu attracted a line of eager customers. The middle-aged female owner bustled about, cheerful and animated, while Lin Guodong had yet to attract a single inquiry. This was hardly surprising in his past life. As a gifted chef, patrons would book months in advance to savor his creations. When had he ever worried about attracting customers? The art of hawking on the street felt rather foreign. Lin Guodong continued to wait until his back ached and his palms, as rough as tree bark, grasped the cart while the other hand massaged the sore muscles of his back. Noticing Lin Guodong's age and the absence of any customers, the stinky tofu vendor offered a suggestion. Brother, at your age, shouting may be difficult. You should buy a small megaphone and record message. That thing is loud and saves effort. Lin Guodong smiled and nodded in gratitude. Thank you, sister. At that moment, a young nurse, standing at the end of the stinky tofu line, draped her nurse's uniform over her arm and anxiously glanced at her watch. How long will this take? I'm going to be late, and my pay will be docked. Seeing no hope in the queue, the nurse turned her gaze towards Lin Guodong. Perhaps it was the sight of an elderly gentleman braving the streets that stirred her sympathy, coupled with his peculiar pristine chef's attire. Was he setting up a stall or applying for a position at a five-star hotel? Curiosity piqued, she thought, it's just lunch, it doesn't matter what I eat. Grandpa, she called. What do you have? Seeing a nurse before him, Lin Guodong felt a twinge of disappointment, realizing she was not an anorexia patient. Yet he warmly introduced his dish. This is tomato scrambled egg rice. Clean, hygienic, and delicious. Would you like a portion? As he lifted the food cover, the nurse's initially casual expression transformed, her eyes widening in surprise. She had intended to grab something quick and simple, yet the dish presented by this seemingly frail old man was visually stunning. It resembled a dish crafted by an AI chef. Moreover, what was this extraordinary aroma? She had tasted tomato scrambled eggs before, but never with such a captivating fragrance. In an instant, the stinky tofu nearby seemed to pale in comparison. Her mouth watered involuntarily, and she swallowed reflexively. Glug. Grandpa, I'll take a portion. How much? Lin Guodong packaged a serving and handed it over. 20 yuan. The nurse hesitated momentarily, but proceeded to pay via a QR code. Isn't that a bit pricey? Lin Guodong offered a warm smile. Dear girl, once you taste it, you'll understand that the flavor and quality are worth the price. The nurse contemplated the peculiar aroma and Lin Guodong's inexplicable confidence. Could he be a retired chef from a five-star hotel, now enjoying a leisurely life as a vendor? With that thought, she took the box and hurried into the hospital. However, as the nurse departed, Lin Guodong's cart fell silent once more. A gentle breeze stirred, causing stray leaves on the ground to stand out even more starkly. The nearby customers, upon hearing that his tomato scrambled egg rice was priced at 20 yuan, lost their initial interest as working-class individuals sought convenience and affordability in street food. Lin Guodong retrieved a foldable stool from the cart, seated himself, and couldn't help but feel a twinge of melancholy. How on earth can I manage to sell food in the hospital to complete my mission? Meanwhile, the nurse, clutching her box lunch, entered the hospital building and took the elevator to the 8th floor of the psychiatric department. Noticing that mealtime had passed, she concealed the box lunch beneath her nurse's uniform as she approached the duty lounge, ready to indulge. Where's the duty nurse? Bed 3 has just thrown up? Upon hearing the commotion, the nurse sighed and set down her meal, hurrying over. I'm coming. Just as she departed, a woman clad in a blue and white striped hospital gown entered, her complexion as pale as parchment. Upon closer inspection, the woman's figure appeared peculiar. Though she seemed youthful, her hair was a brittle shade of yellow and somewhat sparse. Her cheeks were gaunt, sunken in a manner reminiscent of a skull draped in skin. The tight jeans she wore seemed ill-fitting, giving off the impression of pajama pants. It was difficult to fathom how her legs could support her entire frame. Is the nurse not here? At first glance, one might assume she was an elderly soul tormented by chronic illness. Yet the voice that emerged was surprisingly youthful, a delicate timbre belonging to someone in her 20s. The woman placed the borrowed thermometer on the table and prepared to leave. However, the nurse's station, typically infused with the scent of antiseptic, was now unexpectedly filled with a curious fragrance. Turning back, she noticed a meal box on the table. It seems revealing a tantalizing golden hue. The dual assault on her senses compelled her to swallow instinctively. Yet this simple action quickened her heartbeat and widened her eyes in disbelief. What? What is happening? Am I actually craving food? She wiped the beads of sweat from her brow with her bony hand, revealing a white hospital wristband. Name: Jiang Yi. Age: 20. Severe anorexia. I actually want to eat something? During her school years, she had endured ridicule and bullying due to her weight, leading her to force herself to vomit after every meal in a desperate attempt to lose weight. Her mind insisted she had eaten, while her stomach protested otherwise. Initially, she rejoiced at the numbers dwindling on the scale. Unbeknownst to her, the long-term practice of self-induced vomiting had forged a dual memory in her esophageal muscles and psyche, resulting in dire repercussions. In later stages, even without inducing vomiting, her stomach would involuntarily churn after eating, expelling everything consumed. Doctors diagnosed her with severe psychological eating disorders. Now, not only could she not eat, but even the sight of greasy foods would incite nausea. She spent her days languishing on a hospital bed, relying on 4 drips and liquid diets to sustain the bare minimum of life. At merely 20, her predominant thoughts revolved around how to peacefully conclude her vibrant youth. Yet today, upon glimpsing the meal box, it was as if a child had stumbled upon a treasure trove of candy, irresistibly drawn in. The closer she approached, the more intoxicating the aroma became, causing her hand to hover momentarily before retreating. Gazing around, she felt it improper to take someone else's food. Yet, her mind relentlessly urged her to eat, devour it. An overwhelming instinct to consume overwhelmed her resolve. Perhaps I should leave a note of apology if necessary. I will compensate double. With that thought, she cradled the meal box and returned to her hospital room, the short distance of 50 meters leaving her slightly breathless. She cast aside a large bag of liquid food on the small table beside her bed and eagerly opened the meal box. Her eyes met with golden scrambled eggs and amber-hued tomatoes. Not only was she prepared to eat, but merely gazing at the meal ignited her appetite. Jiang Yi, akin to the first person to taste crab, scooped a hefty portion of scrambled eggs and mashed them. After a moment's hesitation, she closed her eyes and placed the morsel in her mouth, beginning to chew. The tomatoes' juices melded with the eggs, bursting with flavor upon her first bite. The savory eggs complemented the sweet and tangy sauce, balancing the richness beautifully. A subtle sweetness emerged, not from sugar, but something more profound. Gulp. As she swallowed, a faint acidity washed over her palate, stimulating her taste buds and hunger. With a slight tremor in her right hand, she scooped another spoonful into her mouth. Gulp. This is utterly delicious. Simultaneously, she glanced at the discarded bag of liquid food and shook her head in disbelief. Biting down on a hair tie, she gathered her long hair back and secured it. With her left hand wielding a spoon and her right a pair of chopsticks, she launched into a fervent feast. Her hands flew with fervor, nearly creating sparks as the amber sauce adorned her lips. After a prolonged period of abstaining from food and now eating too quickly, she soon found herself choking. She hastily grabbed a cup of water and took a few sips. Accompanied by a sigh of relief, she licked her lips and marveled at the experience. The water did nothing to dilute the lingering aroma on her palate. Jiang Ye's commotion attracted the attention of a boy in the adjacent bed. He, too, bore a waxy complexion and emaciated frame. His frail appearance was akin to a skeletal warrior from a video game, clad in a hospital gown that resembled a sack draped over a skeleton. His condition seemed even more severe than Jiang Ye's, as his voice quivered with every word. Jiang Yi, what are you doing? Hey, are you eating? Jiang Yi was so engrossed in her meal that she hardly acknowledged him. Yet the more she indulged, the more astonished he became. Jiang Yi, what are you eating that is so delectable? Can I have a taste? Hearing his plea, Jiang Yi instinctively hugged the meal box to her chest, stammering as she replied. Skeleton warrior, I'm not lying, this meal is not good at all. The boy trembled with indignation upon hearing her words. Not good? If it's not good, then why are you eating so much? I'm sick, not stupid. Can't I have just one bite? Do you forget that I once treated you to chocolate? Chapter 3. Surely, it won't devour me alive. I am truly wronged. Jiang Yi had no intention of paying any heed, as she mindlessly stuffed her mouth. Skeleton soldier, I've sent you my pouch of protein nutrition liquid. Just tear it open and drink it. The skeleton soldier gazed down at the milk-colored liquid on the ground, then glanced at the brown-red sauce at the corner of Jiang Ye's mouth. I beg you, just give me a taste. I feel ants crawling all over me. At that moment, The nurse, having finished attending to the patient in bed 3, rushed back to the duty room, her stomach growling in hunger. Yet, upon entering, she was taken aback to find the table completely bare. "Where's my boxed meal?" Approaching the table, she noticed a note resting atop it. "Hello. I am unsure whose meal this is, but I was simply too famished. I sincerely apologize for taking it without permission. I am Jiang Yi from the psychiatric department. Ward 3, please contact me for reimbursement." The nurse stared at the note, tears welling in her eyes. "I just want to eat. What do I need your money for?" Sighing, she resigned herself. "Well, if the patient has taken it to eat, so be it. I shall consider it a means of dieting." As she rubbed her emaciated belly, a sudden thought struck her, and a flicker of astonishment replaced her earlier despondency. "What? Psychiatric department, Ward 3? Isn't that the anorexia ward?" The nurse hurried toward Ward 3, and upon reaching the doorway, she caught a whiff of delectable food. Peering in, she saw Jiang Yi, clad in a blue and white striped hospital gown, cradling an empty white food box, with her tongue darting out, licking left and right. The nurse was so shocked that cold sweat broke out on her brow. She stumbled back, exclaiming, "Doctor, she has eaten something." As she retreated, she collided with someone. "Oh dear, Nurse Zhang, are you all right?" The newcomer was a beautiful woman in her 40s, carrying a large bag of exquisite food. "You are Jiang Ye's mother, are you not? You've arrived just in time. Your daughter has eaten." Jiang Ye's mother widened her eyes in disbelief, gazing at the nurse. "Eaten? What has she eaten?" "I just heard the doctor's suggestion and went to Jiangsheng Hotel to procure various foods. I have yet to deliver them." "Where did she get her meal?" Seeing the nurse at a loss for words, Jiang Ye's mother sighed. "Nurse Zhang, I appreciate your good intentions to encourage me. But for 2 years, whatever Jiang Yi eats, she vomits. The doctor has already informed me that if this continues, her body will eventually fail. As a mother, how can I bear to let my child starve to death? What face do I have left to live?" As Jiang Ye's mother became increasingly agitated, tears cascaded from the corners of her slightly wrinkled eyes. The nurse, exasperated, grasped her hand and rushed to the hospital room. Standing before Jiang Yi and pointing at her unclean mouth. "See, I told you, your daughter is eating, and she hasn't even wiped her mouth. She is recovering." Jiang Ye's mother, upon seeing the amber-colored broth at the corner of her daughter's mouth in the box, which appeared as though it had been scrubbed clean, was momentarily rendered speechless. "My dear girl, you are well again. My daughter, after watching you grow thinner by the day over these past 2 years, I had nearly lost all hope." Grandmother Jiang seemed to have a sudden inspiration, hastily tearing open the elegant food bag, releasing an enticing aroma into the air. "Quickly, quickly. Mother has bought many delightful dishes. While you have an appetite, do indulge." The array included braised sea cucumber, red braised lion's head meatballs, sweet and sour yellow fish, and mapo tofu, all dishes you once relished. "I specifically sought out the executive chef at Jiangxing Hotel to prepare these for you." The corners of Grandmother Jiang's eyes crinkled with joy, resembling blooming flowers as she presented the delectable offerings before Jiang Yi. However, the anticipated scene of hearty indulgence did not materialize. Jiang Yi furrowed her brow, the rich scent mingled with a greasy undertone causing turmoil in her stomach. Ugh! She quickly covered her mouth with her hand, nearly retching the recent tomato scrambled eggs. "Take it away. I cannot eat." Grandmother Jiang and the nurse exchanged bewildered glances, their previously vibrant eyes dimming in confusion. "Did you not eat just now? Why the sudden aversion?" Jiang Yi took a sip of water, patting her chest to alleviate the churning in her stomach, gasping, "I just had a box of mixed rice from the duty room. I have never tasted anything so exquisite. It is the only meal I feel I can manage." Grandmother Jiang's brow furrowed deeply. Although she was not a chef, having spent a lifetime in the Culinary Association had made her somewhat of a food critic. The food she had procured from Jiangxing Hotel, while not the pinnacle of gourmet cuisine, was indeed a feast for the senses. What mountain treasures or ocean delicacies could possibly be contained within this ordinary white plastic box? Before she could ponder further, the nurse produced a crumpled note and handed it to Jiang Yi. "This is the note you left behind, isn't it?" Just then, the sound of polished shoes echoed in the corridor. A man in a white coat approached, his gray hair indicating his advanced age. "What seems to be the matter?" The nurse, seeing the doctor's arrival, quickly spoke up. "Doctor, Jiang Yi has eaten, and quite a large bowl at that." The doctor adjusted his glasses, leaning forward. "Oh, she has eaten?" He swiftly retrieved a stethoscope, examining Jiang Yi's condition. Very good, very good. This is an excellent sign. Look, Jiang Yi's complexion seems to have regained some color. Prolonged reliance on liquid diets not only leads to nutritional deficiencies, but can also result in weakened or even atrophied gastrointestinal functions, adversely affecting future eating habits. Haha, it appears my treatment is yielding results. Jiang Yi's mother, what food did you provide her? The doctor glanced at the untouched delicacies on the table, then turned to the nurse beside him. Doctor, Jiang Yi did not eat her mother's food. Rather, she had the tomato scrambled eggs I just bought from outside the hospital. The doctor responded with a surprised, "Oh, tomato scrambled eggs are quite commendable. This dish offers a balanced array of nutrients and is easy to digest." Wait, outside the hospital? Isn't that from a street vendor? Oh dear. With Jiang Yi's already compromised resistance, What if the hygiene and safety of the street vendor's food are questionable? The nurse interjected. But whether from a street vendor or a fine restaurant, isn't it a good thing that Jiang Yi is eating? The doctor furrowed his brow upon hearing the commotion, understanding the significance of a first meal for a patient with anorexia. However, as a physician who had struggled for 2 years to treat this ailment, he found it improbable that a street vendor could achieve what he could not. After all, food is not medicine. A single meal does not equate to a cure for her anorexia. With over 20 years of experience in this field, he knew that there are no miraculous treatments or medications for anorexia worldwide. It requires long-term psychological counseling. Nevertheless, he acknowledged that simply eating normally is a positive step. He resolved to monitor her for any further instances of vomiting and advised her to consume light, healthy foods, as overly spicy dishes could overwhelm her stomach. Jiang Mu nodded appreciatively. Thank you, doctor. We will observe her closely moving forward. Everything will be all right. Once the doctor departed, the skeletal figure in the bed beside Jiang Yi pulled back the covers, revealing thin legs clad in pajama pants. He gently descended from the bed and approached the nurse. Nurse Zhang, may I inquire where you obtained that street food? I would like to try it as well. The nurse glanced at the hospital wristband on his arm and remarked, Aren't you all in this ward feeling particularly hungry today? At the entrance of Jiangqing's premier hospital, Lin Guodong sat on a stool, propping his chin up with one hand, absently swaying a blade of foxtail grass he had plucked from the flower bed behind him. How can I possibly sell food in the hospital? He pondered. I have the mildest case of hypertension. Should I pretend to be a patient and smuggle in my lunchbox? After much contemplation, he deemed that plan unfeasible. Noticing that lunchtime had already passed, he regretted having not sold a single portion since the nurse left. What a shame. Such delicious food will go to waste. He considered returning home to brainstorm alternative ideas, perhaps renting a stall in the hospital cafeteria. Yet, that thought quickly dissipated. With only 200 yuan to my name, renting a stall is out of the question. Frustrated, he began to pack up his belongings to leave when a sudden, mournful roar echoed behind him. It's him. Startled, Lin Guodong felt a shiver run down his spine. He patted his racing heart, realizing that at his age, he could hardly withstand such fright. That shout nearly sent him into a panic. Upon turning around, he was taken aback. Isn't that the nurse who just purchased my food? Lin Guodong noticed 3 individuals accompanying the nurse, 2 of whom were clad in matching blue and white patient uniforms. All 4 wore wide-eyed expressions, breathing heavily. Their brows furrowed in a mix of excitement, confusion, and aggression. This is the person. I can't possibly be mistaken with such a ridiculous outfit. The nurse's shout sent a chill through Lin Guodong, and he broke into a cold sweat. What on earth is happening? Could the ingredients provided by the system have caused someone to fall ill? He had eaten them himself that morning. Surely, everyone's constitution is different. As the 4 individuals charged towards him, an overwhelming instinct to flee surged within him. Given his unlicensed operation, being caught by the Food and Drug Administration would spell disaster. In a panic, he abandoned his cart and fled. You, don't run. Stop. Don't run. As the sounds behind him grew louder, Lin Guodong sprinted faster. Hey, don't chase me. Chapter 4, Buying Food. You should have said something earlier. Why are you pursuing me? Lin Guodong lamented inwardly, feeling the weight of an unfulfilled task since his arrival in this unfamiliar world. After all the effort he had put into preparing delectable dishes, was he now facing the prospect of causing harm? This was unjust. If the health department caught wind of this, he would be in dire trouble. Lacking both a health certificate and a food safety permit. Having been a chef in his previous life, he understood the gravity of food safety. Operating without any licenses was akin to driving without a permit and causing an accident or practicing medicine without a license, which could lead to criminal liability. The more he pondered, the more terrified he became. He dashed forward as if possessed, leading to a bizarre scene on the street. 2 patients, a nurse, and a family member were in hot pursuit of an elderly man clad in a chef's uniform, each figure appearing oddly out of place. A chef, a nurse, and patients, an unusual tableau of pursuit unfolded. Just as they ran, a film student happened to pass by, his mind filled with his mentor's expectations for graduation projects. Art comes from life. It must resonate with reality. Upon hearing the commotion, the student turned to witness the spectacle, quickly capturing it on his phone. What on earth? 3 women and a man chasing an old man. What a twisted ethical joke. How thrilling. Lin Guodong paid no mind to others' thoughts, focusing solely on his escape. However, it wasn't long before a boy in a blue and white striped patient gown appeared beside him, matching his pace. It was the skeletal figure, the kind that could easily surpass him but chose to remain at his side, seemingly eager to converse. Lin Guodong was taken aback. How could someone so emaciated run so swiftly? Amidst his shock, he attempted to quicken his pace, but his weary limbs protested, and he began to slow down, clutching his chest as he sank to the ground, gasping for breath. All right, enough already. Please stop chasing me. Young man, you must be a patient. Take care. If you overexert yourself, you might reopen your wounds and have to return for stitches. That is not worth it. As he struggled for air, Lin Guodong glanced back, his heart racing. Damn it, I'm about to collapse. I've barely run 200 meters since passing the stinky tofu stall outside the hospital. Suddenly, Jiang Mu rushed over, gripping Lin Guodong's arm with excitement. Did the nurse just buy some rice from you? Seeing Jiang Mu's animated expression, Lin Guodong instinctively devised a plan for survival. He feigned distress, clutching his chest. Please, don't touch me. I'm old and my health isn't great. High blood pressure. High cholesterol, rheumatoid arthritis. My body is riddled with ailments. If I collapse, you won't be able to handle the consequences. The nurse hurried over, standing before Lin Guodong and extending her hand to help him up. Grandpa, why are you running? Lin Guodong was momentarily stunned. You're asking me? Why are you chasing me? The nurse, exasperated, stomped her foot in frustration. You are the one selling food. What else would I want? I brought my patient to buy rice. Lin Guodong was taken aback by the voice and glanced around at the crowd. You're looking for me to buy a meal? Are you suggesting there is something wrong with the food? The nurse rolled her eyes. Grandpa, though you are quite aged, you truly possess a sense of humor. Can eating a simple dish of scrambled eggs with tomatoes really cause a problem? Do you still have any of those rice bowls left? Could you sell me a few more? Lin Guodong's face flushed with anger. If you want to buy food, just say so. Why the fuss about who is he? Stop and don't run. Jiang Mu, while brushing off the dust from Lin Guodong's pants, explained, Master, I sincerely apologize. My daughter's condition improved after eating your food. I was just overwhelmed with excitement and lost control. I have no intention of blaming you. It's all a misunderstanding. With the nurse's assistance, Lin Guodong limped back to the food cart, carefully washed his hands, lifted the lid, and served a portion. His attention to hygiene earned him Jiang Mu's approval, though she still felt some reluctance about letting her daughter eat from a roadside stall. Grandpa, I'll have 2 portions of the rice bowl, please. The nurse pointed to herself and the skeletal soldier, and Lin Guodong nodded, lifting the silver lid. Under the heat-retaining cover, droplets of water clung to the tomatoes and eggs, glistening like lotus pods after rain. Jiang Yi, seeing this, couldn't help but recall the taste from earlier. Subconsciously smacking her lips and swallowing, she said, Grandpa, I'd like one as well. I want to eat more. Jiang Mu, who had worked in the Culinary Association for many years, was curious. What kind of delectable dish could make her daughter, who hadn't eaten in 2 years, devour her meal with such enthusiasm and now even ask for another bowl? But the moment the lid was lifted, she seemed to understand. She had truly never seen anything like it. The eggs were an enticing golden hue, with an amber broth subtly visible within. The aroma of the eggs was rich, yet not a hint of oil could be detected. Each tomato piece appeared uniformly sized, topped with vibrant green scallions and snowy white minced garlic. It seemed less like a dish and more like a work of art. Everything reflected the chef's exceptional culinary skills, showcasing an exquisite mastery over color, aroma, and flavor. Jiang Qing's renowned eateries had all been visited, and she had even taken Jiang Yi abroad in search of unique cuisines to aid her recovery. Yet she had never encountered a chef capable of elevating home-cooked meals to such extraordinary heights. After all, home-style dishes do not command high prices, and chefs are human too. Who wouldn't consider their income? What quality ingredients and meticulous care could one expect for a dish that doesn't yield profit? Jiang Mu gazed curiously at the frail old man before her. She couldn't recall any famous chef in Jiangcheng resembling him. Could he possibly be from out of town? Surely he wasn't from another era. Clearing her throat, she said, Excuse me, dear sir. Could I also have 1 portion? That makes 4 in total. I'll treat everyone. Lin Guodong nodded and prepared 4 servings. Each portion is 20, totaling 80, thank you. As Jiang Mu paid, she felt none of the apprehension the nurse had earlier experienced. After all, she had paid 80 yuan for a single braised lion's head earlier that morning at a hotel in Jiangcheng. For individuals, clutching their rice bowls, found themselves without tables or chairs and settled on the steps to partake in their meal. Jiang Yi, having gained some experience, was no longer cautious and brandished his spoon with flair. The skeletal soldier, having not enjoyed a proper meal in quite some time, appeared somewhat tense and awkward. Lin Guodong produced 4 disposable cups and poured water for everyone. Children, chew slowly. You're eating as if you've never had a meal before. Are you that famished? The nurse remarked, her voice slightly muffled, her lips smeared with a rich red sauce. Grandpa, this dish is absolutely delightful. I've never tasted such exquisite scrambled eggs with tomatoes. How is it that it's even more savory than meat? Lin Guodong observed as the quartet transitioned from their initial confusion to a state of sheer indulgence after their first bites. His heart swelled with joy. In his previous life as a top chef, mere financial gain no longer satisfied his aspirations. Instead, the satisfaction reflected on diners' faces provided him with the most profound sense of fulfillment. Just as he was about to speak, a voice echoed in his mind. Ding. System notification. System task. Sell meals at the hospital. Heal 20 patients with anorexia. Patients healed today. 2. Reward. Improved physical condition. Enhanced vitality to that of a 59-year-old. Total completion. 2 patients healed. 18 remaining. P.S. For every 2 anorexic patients healed, the host appearance remains unchanged. Yet bodily functions will improve. Lin Guodong was taken aback by the sudden notification. A wave of coolness washed over his mind as an invisible energy coursed through his body. His muscles twitched, seemingly alleviating the leg pain incurred from earlier exertion. When he glanced at his reflection through his phone's camera, he noted that while the age spots remained unchanged and his features were still the same, Faint muscle definition began to emerge on his once emaciated arms. Lin Guodong stared in astonishment at the two individuals clad in blue and white striped hospital gowns. Do you perhaps suffer from a mental illness? Is it anorexia that troubles you? Chapter 5. Where can I find delicious rice bowls? Zhang Yi, unable to respond with a mouth full of food, simply nodded toward Lin Guodong and continued to relish his meal. The skeletal soldier raised his head at the sound, and his once sallow complexion seemed to flush with vitality as he wiped the remnants of the red sauce from his lips. Grandpa, how did you know? I've been ill for many years, subsisting on nothing but liquid diets and meal replacements. I used to feel nauseous at the sight of food. But witnessing Zhang Yi devour his meal with such fervor piqued my curiosity. The flavors and colors are unparalleled, no matter how much I eat. I can't seem to get enough. Lin Guodong's heart sank at the thought. What a world, that a young person had not enjoyed a proper meal in years. The pressures of modern life must be immense. After a long day, one should savor a delicious meal to relieve stress, not neglect their nourishment. A faint smile graced his lips, complemented by his aged visage and silver hair, exuding a sense of warmth and approachability. Young man, are you still eating? I have a large pot of this dish left. Please, indulge yourself without hesitation. The skeletal soldier, upon hearing the voice, turned to gaze at Lin Guodong as hunched figure, characterized by numerous wrinkles and squinting, smiling eyes. Emotion welled up, causing his eyes to shift from white to red, glimmering with unshed tears. I miss my grandfather. In my childhood, he would always prepare scrambled eggs with tomatoes for me, insisting that it was nutritious and would help me grow taller. Each time, he would inquire if I had eaten enough, fearful that I might go hungry. As I matured, there was an occasion when he traveled from the countryside to Jiangcheng with vegetables he had cultivated himself to visit me. Unfortunately, on the journey, he was involved in an accident, and the tomatoes scattered everywhere. He departed just like that. Ever since, I have lost my appetite for food. Today, as I savored this bowl of rice, the flavor of my grandfather's cooking came rushing back to me. Lin Guodong, upon hearing this, felt a pang of concern. He feared he might have misspoken. Cough, cough. Young man, do not be disheartened. Here's the deal. Whenever you feel hungry, come find me at the hospital entrance. I cannot promise much, but the food is delicious and will certainly fill you up. Yet, the more he attempted to comfort the skeletal soldier, the more the tears flowed, plummeting into the lunchbox below. Just as Lin Guodong found himself at a loss, he noticed the soldier wiping away his tears and extending the empty lunchbox. Grandfather, you are truly kind, but I am still hungry. After a hearty meal, the four of them sat on the steps, patting their round bellies and marveling at the simple pleasures of life. Ah, is there anything more satisfying than good food? Lin Guodong felt a swell of happiness at the sight of their content expressions, but was equally troubled by the unfinished task at hand. Suddenly, he had an idea as he turned to the nurse seated on the steps. Miss, do you think my food is tasty? The nurse nodded vigorously. Then could you help me inquire if I might sell my rice dishes inside the hospital? Ideally, near the psychiatric department, so I can push my food cart there and spare the patients from running around, which could impede their recovery. However, after a moment's hesitation, the nurse shook her head. I'm sorry, grandfather. I'm just a small nurse, not a leader, so I cannot promise you anything. But I will ask the hospital administration on your behalf. Your culinary skills are remarkable. You must have been a chef at a hotel before. Lin Guodong, hearing this, looked somewhat crestfallen. I only have my ID card. At this statement, both the nurse and Zhang's mother were taken aback. It wasn't he that they doubted the cleanliness of his cooking. All signs indicated that he was a kind-hearted individual with a meticulous approach to his work. What? Grandfather, are you joking? Your food is so delicious. How can you not be a professional chef? At this moment, Zhang's mother seemed to sense Lin Guodong's predicament and gently inquired, Master, do you find yourself in a difficult situation? Coincidentally, I work at the Jiangxing Catering Association. If you require certification, I can vouch for you, which should expedite the process significantly. After all, your culinary skills are evident, and if more patients could enjoy your meals, I would consider it a good deed. Lin Guodong's murky eyes sparkled with excitement at her words as he grasped Zhang's mother's hand eagerly. There are still many good people in this world. Zhang's mother smiled warmly, holding his hand. Rest assured, Master, once you have the necessary credentials, I believe you will be able to sell your lunchboxes at the hospital. Lin Guodong pulled out his personal information from his waist pouch and handed it to Zhang's mother. I appreciate your assistance. I shall return home to await news. Just as I was about to turn and leave, a hand suddenly grasped the hem of my clothing from behind. It was Zhang Yi. Grandfather, what era is this? You can sell food in hospitals just the same. As she spoke, she pulled out her phone and opened a group chat on WeChat. Jiangxing First People S Hospital. Mental Health Specialty Patient Group. After a moment of contemplation, her slender fingers danced rapidly across the screen, as if revived after a meal. Dear family, who understands? I am Zhang Yi from Ward 3 of the Mental Health Department, with a history of anorexia for 2.5 years. Today, I had the most delicious rice bowl right outside our hospital, so delectable that even I, an anorexic, managed to devour 2 large bowls. There is still some left, but not in abundance. If you come late, you'll be left lamenting. So fragrant. Accompanying her message was a photo of scrambled eggs with tomatoes. After editing the message and sending it, Zhang Yi looked up with a smile at Lin Guodong. All set. Grandfather, just wait here. Lin Guodong felt a bit puzzled by her words, yet her innocent smile warmed his heart. This must be the most gratifying moment for a chef. One might think they heal others with culinary delights, but in truth, it is the enjoyment of the food that validates their efforts. Suddenly, Zhang Yi's phone chimed with a series of notifications. Upon opening it, she noticed a bright red alert in the chat. 99. Respect the truth. A medical miracle? Anorexia for 2.5 years, and now eating? Unheard of. Why would anyone deceive you? I know Zhang Yi. She's from the next ward. And she's lovely, often sharing snacks with me. Is this an actual photo? Are you sure there are no filters? The color looks incredibly tempting. Grandpa may be aged, but if he were 30 years younger, he'd still be quite handsome. Seriously, are you that hungry? Can we focus on something more relevant? Why wait? Let us hurry, fellow patients. If we delay, we'll only be left lamenting. Lin Guodong found himself bewildered by the flood of messages, marveling at the power of the internet. Zhang Yi stood up and pulled Lin Guodong toward the exit, prompting Zhang Mu to inquire urgently. Daughter, where are you going? Zhang Yi replied with a smile. Mom, I'm too full. Someone is coming to buy food shortly. I'm going to help grandfather, just to aid digestion. The skeletal soldier stood shakily, not from weakness, but rather from being overly full. Aye, I'll help too. The nurse and Zhang Mu exchanged glances. For them, Zhang Yi and the skeletal soldier regaining their health was of utmost importance. Meanwhile, outside the hospital, the photography student who had initially been capturing images of Lin Guodong sat disheartened at the entrance. Ah, so this grandfather sells rice bowls. I thought I had stumbled upon a sensational news story. Just as he prepared to leave, he spotted Lin Guodong emerging alongside two individuals clad in patient attire. Moments later, an astonishing scene unfolded at the hospital entrance, resembling the collapse of the walls of a mental institution. Waves of people dressed in blue and white patient garb surged forth, creating an eerily alarming spectacle. Among them were individuals leaning on crutches, their gait reminiscent of the shambling figures from a post-apocalyptic hospital scene in a zombie film. My goodness, is this a medical dispute or a riot? University students hastily took out their phones to record the unfolding scene, observing fellow patients rushing out of the hospital, looking around in confusion. Which one is it? The group chat didn't specify a name. Where's the rice bowl? I want a delicious rice bowl. The crowd, with furtive glances, suddenly heard a melodious female voice. Hello everyone. I'm Zhang Yi. Come and buy some delectable rice bowls. Chapter 6. Are the dishes sold out? I don't eat vegetables. Just rice. Lin Guodong watched as dozens of people charged toward him, nearly trembling in fear and ready to flee. Calm down. Calm down. They're not here for revenge. They're here to buy food. At the forefront, a robust young man in his 20s dashed to the food cart. Grandpa, you're selling rice bowls, right? Give me one. As Lin Guodong served the food, he curiously inquired, Young man, why are you eyeing the stinky tofu stall while buying from me? His question startled the female vendor at the tofu stand, who turned around in surprise. The young man, though facing Lin Guodong, was clearly fixated on her. It's all right. Grandpa, I have a condition with my eyes. I suffer from strabismus. I just heard from a friend with a mental health issue that there's delicious rice here. You wouldn't believe it, but the hospital cafeteria seems to be run by a relative of some official. And the food is so terrible that even dogs want to eat it. Understanding his plight, Lin Guodong nodded and handed him a generous portion. Young man, I've given you a hearty serving. Boys have big appetites, so eat well for your health. Although the young man's gaze remained fixed on the tofu vendor, something within him stirred, and his eyes misted slightly as he cradled the food container, murmuring to himself, Ever since my eyes went bad, everyone has looked down on me. They say my strabismus indicates ill intentions, that I have shifty eyes. The last person who spoke to me like this was probably my grandfather. Lin Guodong responded with a warm smile. Have you finished your order? It's my turn. As he opened the food container, a delightful aroma wafted out, causing those in line to salivate uncontrollably. Grandpa, give me one. Lin Guodong glanced at a young person with one eye bandaged and cheerfully handed over a rice bowl. You're also an ophthalmology patient, right? You must eat well to recover swiftly. The young man was momentarily taken aback. Throughout his life, he had always paid for goods upon receiving them. Was there truly someone who cared about his condition and wished him a speedy recovery? Grandpa, I want 2 servings. Lin Guodong looked at a charming girl of about 15 or 16 who was leaning on a crutch. Little girl, you can't finish 2 servings alone. I serve hearty portions. The girl chuckled. Grandpa, I'm from orthopedics. There's someone in my ward who can't come because she's in a wheelchair, and I'm bringing her a portion. Upon hearing Lin Guodong's words, the crowd wore puzzled expressions. Is there someone selling food who worries others might not finish it and advises them to buy less? What a remarkable old man. With the assistance of Zhang Yi and the skeletal soldier, a large pot of tomato rice was swiftly sold out. Lin Guodong, with a tone tinged with age and a hint of apology, addressed the queue of patients behind him. My dear friends, I regret to inform you that today's meal has been completely sold out. Upon hearing this, the patrons in line instantly expressed their discontent. What? It's all gone. I've waited in line for ages. Indeed, you've whetted my appetite, and now you tell me it's finished? What am I to do? Seeing the disbelief in their eyes, Lin Guodong lifted the silver lid and scooped a spoonful. The tomato scrambled eggs had been entirely consumed, leaving only a rich amber broth. I assure you, my dear friends, there is truly nothing left. At that moment, a chubby boy approached the food cart, twitching his nose. Grandpa, I don't want vegetables. You still have half a pot of rice, right? Just pour the sauce over it, and I'll mix it. Upon hearing this, the other patients gazed longingly at the amber sauce in the pot, accompanied by the fragrant aroma of glutinous rice. They began to fantasize wildly. Imagine that thick sauce over the gleaming rice. It would be utterly delectable. Yes, let us do it. I've loved mixed rice since childhood. Grandpa, I want sauce over my rice too. Lin Guodong was momentarily stunned. How am I supposed to sell it like this? However, seeing the eager anticipation in the eyes of the patients, he could only manage a wry smile. All right, if you all wish to eat. Then let us form an orderly line, and I shall serve you sauce over rice. The first to purchase, the chubby boy, stood aside, gazing at the rice in his container. Wow, this rice looks so good, even without any toppings. It must be incredibly fragrant on its own. Grandpa, this rice must be quite expensive, right? Indeed, I've never seen rice like this before. It must be hard to come by. Lin Guodong stared at the pot of rice, utterly bewildered. I don't know. It just came out of the refrigerator. Meanwhile, a university student filming the scene could no longer contain his astonishment. What is happening here? Even setting up a stall is so competitive. I've never seen so many people involved. And look at those with crutches. Their determination to earn a little extra is truly inspiring. Driven by intense curiosity, he pushed to the front, aiming his camera at the pot of rice. The aroma wafted through the air, coalescing into a mist on the phone's lens. Through the screen, the rice appeared as glistening pearls, each grain uniformly sized, as if they had been meticulously copied and pasted. This is an unfiltered shot. I didn't apply any filters. At that moment, he captured an image with his $1,000 phone that seemed far more enticing than what could be produced by a $100,000 camera from a national broadcaster. Who is cutting in line? Even patients are cutting in. Where is the morality, the decency? Where is the hotline to report this? Yes, I'm still limping and waiting in line. You should go to the back. Soon, the rice was sold out as well. Those who managed to buy a container of sauce over rice returned to the hospital, beaming with delight as if they were carrying a treasure. Meanwhile, those who missed out looked on with envy, as if they had lost the chance to obtain a signed album from Jay Cho. Grandfather, will you be able to come tomorrow? Indeed, do prepare a bit more for us, as we shall return. Lin Guodong, with the corners of his eyes crinkling in a smile, responded cheerfully. Yes, I will definitely be here, waiting for you at the hospital entrance. Once the crowd dispersed, a university student who had been filming approached, finding the pot nearly empty. However, with keen eyes, he pinched 2 grains of rice clinging to the pot's wall and popped them into his mouth. Why does this rice have such a refreshing bamboo flavor? Lin Guodong waved his hand at the student apologetically. I'm sorry, young man, but we're out for today. Do come again tomorrow. He then turned to Zhang Yi and the skeleton soldier. I truly appreciate your help today. Perhaps I should give you both some money for your efforts. The duo shook their heads in unison. How about I treat you to something delicious? How do you feel about stinky tofu? At the mention, their stomachs churned violently, almost causing them to regurgitate their earlier meal of scrambled eggs with tomatoes. They found themselves quite addicted to Lin Guodong's cooking. After a moment's pause, they spoke in harmony. Grandfather, as long as you return tomorrow, we shall be content just to savor your culinary delights. Lin Guodong extended his gnarled hands, resembling the bark of a withered tree, and shook hands with Zhang Yi and the skeleton soldier. You are such wonderful children. Thank you for assisting grandfather today. I shall return tomorrow. Chapter 7. Today as special, beef stew with potatoes. Riding back home on his tricycle, Lin Guodong hummed a cheerful tune. Every dish had sold out today, yielding a pure profit of 500 yuan. Truly, the earnings matched the sales, with no rent or ingredient costs to consider. The only expense was his culinary expertise. Reflecting on this, he realized that aside from the task progressing slowly, witnessing the joyful smiles of the children made it worthwhile, especially without incurring the expense of renting a stall. Beep, system notification. System task, sell meals at the hospital, cure 20 patients suffering from anorexia. Today's cured patients, 2. Reward, enhanced physical constitution, improved to the age of 59. Total completion, 2 patients cured, 18 remaining. The completion status remained at 2, namely Zhang Yi and the skeleton soldier. It appeared that the number of anorexia patients in the hospital was rather limited. Yet, he found little disappointment. Having faced death in a past life, he had grown indifferent towards certain matters. Observing the children enjoying his meals brought vitality to the otherwise dreary hospital. As Lin Guodong lay in bed, he felt the effects of his age after a long day of toil, his back aching and limbs weary. Suddenly, he felt a wave of dizziness wash over him, and he quickly drifted into a deep slumber. Beep, system notification. Detected mild thrombosis. Completing tasks will enhance physical constitution and alleviate clots. Before the dawn had fully broken, Lin Guodong heard a notification echoing in his mind. Distributing today's ingredients. Beef, potatoes, fruitwood, rice, spring water, scallions, ginger, garlic, and seasonings. Sale price, 30 yuan per serving. Half awake, Lin Guodong opened his eyes, and the mention of today's ingredients invigorated him. Fruitwood, Now that was a prized ingredient. In his previous life, he had excelled at meat preparation. Particularly, a fruitwood steak has garnered high praise from many Western chefs. However, the people of the Dragon Kingdom find it challenging to acclimate to steak, as cooking it well done diminishes the inherent flavors of the meat. Many individuals suffer from gastrointestinal issues, rendering them intolerant. With this in mind, Lin Guodong confirmed his dish and rose to open the refrigerator, his eyes widening at the sight of the beef within. Surely, this Kobe beef could not be so uniformly marbled. Observing the cross-section of the meat, he extended a finger to gently touch it. The texture was astonishing. The pressed beef instantly rebounded, exuding an impression of remarkable freshness and resilience. Its marbling resembled that of fine marble, evenly distributed. If it were pure tenderloin, preparing a potato stew would render it too dry and unpalatable. Although it wasn't brisket, this piece of beef exhibited a delightful balance of fat and lean meat. The fat was plump and fine, promising a melt-in-the-mouth experience upon cooking. Lin Guodong did not rush to commence cooking, but instead stretched his arms and pushed the dining cart into the kitchen. He meticulously scrubbed every corner, even using a toothpick wrapped in absorbent paper to thoroughly clean the stains and crevices. This was a habit from his previous life. No matter how exquisite the dish, no one would have an appetite for food served on dirty utensils. Precision and attention to detail were the reasons behind his extraordinary achievements, surpassing many chefs by the age of 40. After half an hour, Lin Guodong bent down to admire the silver dining cart, which gleamed even more brightly than a newly manufactured one, nodding in satisfaction. He removed the ingredients from the higher refrigerator, washed them, and cut the beef and potatoes into chunks. When sautéing the beef, he opted not for peanut oil but instead chose to use butter, blending it in a 4:6 ratio with peanut oil. The people of the Dragon Kingdom are unaccustomed to butter-cooked meats. This harmonious blend offered the aroma of peanut oil along with the creamy fragrance of butter. He added the beef, and the oil sizzled in the pan. The red meat chunks quickly developed a caramelized hue, and the buttery aroma mingled with the fragrant fat of the beef. After searing all sides to a rich brown, Lin Guodong reached into the pan with his bare hands, gently squeezing a piece of beef to assess its doneness and tenderness. Perfectly cooked. With a deft motion, he transferred the beef into a bowl for later use. Rather than placing it directly into a pressure cooker, he ignited the fruitwood provided by the system. Using a conduit, he allowed the aromatic smoke from the burning wood to envelop the beef. At that moment, the transparent glass dome resembled a mystical realm shrouded in mist, with each wisp of smoke infused with the fragrance of fruitwood. It was as if an invisible hand was massaging the beef, thoroughly incorporating the wood's aroma into the meat. During this time, Lin Guodong began sautéing the potatoes, using a fork to extract a piece and tasting it. It was neither purely starchy nor purely crispy. It was soft and fluffy upon entry, yet upon careful tasting, there was a hint of crispness. A flavor unheard of before. Could it be a newly hybridized variety? An hour later, Lin Guodong opened the pressure cooker. Inside was a rich reddish-brown beef, alongside potatoes soaked in savory broth. He picked up a piece of beef and placed it in his mouth. The scalding temperature compelled him to continually move his tongue while fanning himself for relief. Yet, even so, he was reluctant to spit it out, for it was simply divine. Delicious. The texture is truly one that melts in the mouth. The beef is not only infused with a robust meaty aroma, but also absorbs the rich flavors of the broth. After swallowing, a hint of sweet fruitwood lingers in the mouth. Lin Guodong gazes with satisfaction at the exquisite dish before him, pushing the dining cart towards the First People's Hospital of Jiangqing. Braised beef, the beloved delicacy of many, awaits there. Inside the VIP ward, despite the presence of dozens of doctors standing around, the room feels desolate. On the pristine white bed lies a boy of about 10 years old. Beside him sits a middle-aged man, impeccably dressed in a suit, around 50 years of age. A golden tie clip adorned with a dazzling gemstone signifies his extraordinary wealth. Have you finished your discussions? My son has been vomiting everything he eats for 2 months. You can't even come up with a treatment plan? The doctors in the room lower their heads in silence. An elderly gentleman approaches, his nameplate reading Director Chen Liangquan. Mr. Yu, your son has been diagnosed with a psychiatric eating disorder. This condition can only be managed with supportive therapy. A swift resolution may not be feasible. I have already been using traditional Chinese medicine as an adjunct therapy, Mr. Yu responds, his anger flaring instantly. Wait. I can afford to wait, but can my son? Look at how much weight he has lost in these 2 months. He can't even swallow food. How can he drink that bitter medicine? Though reason tells him that losing his temper will not resolve anything, he feels utterly helpless. After years of hardship, becoming a father at nearly 40, he cherishes his son more than his own life. Director Chen gestures for the other doctors to leave. Mr. Yu, we will discuss this in detail and explore other options. I apologize. Mr. Yu's eyes are bloodshot, his hands clenched tightly, nails digging into his palms, oblivious to the pain. Dad, I don't want to eat liquid food anymore. Hearing his son's call, the seemingly strong man is overcome with tears, yet he maintains a calm demeanor, as if the tears were not his own. Son, I'm here. We want to eat liquid food. I'll go get you something delicious. Rest assured, no matter the cost, I will see you treated. Just then, the sound of hurried footsteps in high heels echoes from outside the ward. Lao, you look at this. Entering is the boy's mother, handing over her phone. The screen displays a chat screenshot from the Jiang Yi support group, where discussions about the wildly popular Grandpa's rice bowl have erupted. Shall we let our son try it? Mr. Yu says darkly after a moment of contemplation. Are you out of your mind? A street vendor? What if he gets sick, given his frail condition? Do you really believe in such marketing nonsense? Have you lost your senses? The woman, hearing his raised voice, bites her lip to suppress her tears, determined not to let her son see her anguish. Does that mean he is not my son? Does it mean I don't care about him? I would harm him. Then tell me, after consulting all the experts from Longhua, what else can we do now? Mr. Yu's expression dims. His lips pressed tightly together as his shoulders droop like a deflated balloon. I apologize for my earlier outburst. My mood has not been the best. Allow me to take a moment to check things out and perhaps purchase a meal to sample. Should I find it satisfactory, I will let my son give it a try. Lin Guodong, riding his three-wheeled cart, hummed a cheerful tune as he arrived at the entrance of Jiangxing First Hospital. The aunt selling stinky tofu next door trembled at the sight of him. The reason was simple. She had witnessed countless patients streaming out of the hospital the previous afternoon. Yet not a single one had come to buy her stinky tofu. Instead, they flocked to purchase meals from the old man. Was her stinky tofu not sufficiently pungent? That seemed impossible. Her stinky tofu not only smelled foul, but tasted equally so. Jiang Yi, what brings you here? Lin Guodong remarked, noticing Jiang Yi emerge from the hospital in her patient attire before he had even set up his stall. Grandpa, I'm fine. I'm just taking a stroll. Lin Guodong observed Jiang Yi's words, but her hands clutched a lunchbox. Young lady, you must be hungry. Do taste the dishes I prepared today. Jiang Yi blushed at the inquiry, shyly concealing the lunchbox behind her. However, as the aroma wafted from the open food cart, a rich scent of meat filled the air. Beef. Jiang Yi hurried over to behold a large pot brimming with dark brown broth, filled with countless golden potatoes and succulent beef. Yet, the fragrance that wafted forth was unlike any braised beef she had ever encountered. It bore an intriguing hint of creaminess. Lin Guodong ladled a bowl of rice, drenching it in the sumptuous sauce. Each grain of translucent rice appeared to be enveloped in a chocolate-like coating, generously topped with beef and potatoes. A delightful burst of flavor with each bite. Do not pour too much sauce. Otherwise, the saltiness will overpower the rice's natural aroma. Do give it a taste, he urged. Jiang Yi accepted the plate, but did not indulge immediately. Instead, she pulled out her phone. Grandpa, how much for today's meal? Lin Guodong waved his hand, recalling how Jiang Yi had assisted him in serving meals all afternoon yesterday. Besides, he had a tendency from his past life to be extravagant. What was a mere bowl of rice? Just as he finished his thought, a system notification echoed in his mind. Ding, system alert. Detected host violation of selling rules. System self-destruction program initiated. Countdown begins. 10 seconds. Oh no, how could I have forgotten this? 9, 8. Jiang Yi shook her head in response. No, Grandpa. I am simply delighted to have a delicious meal. Moreover, at your age, it must be quite strenuous for you to set up a stall. Are you burdened by medical expenses or housing loans? Lin Guodong broke out in a cold sweat, realizing the truth in her words. Yes, I have medical bills. Housing loans, car loans, and even loans for my descendants. I am indeed a beast of burden. Please, just pay me. 30 yuan. Please scan the code, he stated. Jiang Yi smiled, nodding as she began the payment process. 6, 5, 4, 3. Lin Guodong maintained a facade of composure, although his old limbs began to tremble. Dear ancestors, please do not enter the wrong password. 2 ding. The payment was received. 30 yuan credited successfully. System self-destruct program disabled. Please adhere to system regulations. Grandfather, why are you sweating profusely? Are you feeling unwell? I have some goji berries from the skeleton soldiers in my hospital room. Would you like some? Lin Guodong wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and exhaled deeply. The shock has raised my blood pressure. I feel rather dizzy. Jiang Yi, while observing Lin Guodong, busily scooped up potato and beef stew over rice with a spoon. Is this really beef? In the past when I had meals, the beef my mother prepared was either too tough to chew or left bits stuck in my teeth, which was unbearable. Grandfather, why does this beef dissolve so easily in my mouth, rich in juices, and the sinews melt away instantly? Lin Guodong pressed his hand to his chest. Good. I'm glad you enjoy it. Take your time eating, child, be careful not to choke. Just then, a lady from the stinky tofu shop approached, somewhat shyly. Big brother, could you sell me a portion? Lin Guodong smiled and served her a bowl. Your words are amusing. Communication among peers fosters mutual growth. Why act as if there is animosity? The lady paid and accepted the beef rice, smiling as she began to eat. Oh, I thought all those people in line yesterday were your accomplices. After tasting this, I understand that the queue was indeed justified. Is this truly beef? It melts in my mouth and has a hint of creaminess. Did you add milk? Lin Guodong chuckled and generously shared. When stir-frying the beef, blend butter and peanut oil to attain that creamy flavor. However, it's crucial to consider the quality of the beef. It must have sufficient fat content. The lady laughed while eating. Thank you, big brother. I have learned something, although it won't be of much use for my stinky tofu. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Yi let out a satisfied burp, realizing she was nearly done eating. Grandfather, Everyone in the group has assigned me to notify them immediately if you arrive. Jiang Yi opened her phone, took a picture of Lin Guodong, and shared it in the group chat. The previously quiet patient group erupted with messages. Oh my, grandfather has arrived. After eating grandfather's meal yesterday, I couldn't eat a thing for dinner. It was like chewing wax. I'm coming. I'm bringing my bowl and chopsticks. Could someone please check on the orthopedic patients? You all ran off so quickly, and there's no food left for me. Lin Guodong watched the messages on Jiang Yi's phone, his wrinkled face brimming with joy. Jiang Yi, do you still remember any patients with anorexia like you? Jiang Yi blinked her large eyes and nodded. Lin Guodong quietly retrieved 10 pre-packaged meal boxes from beneath the dining table. Could you do me a favor? I can't enter the hospital. Please take these meals and inquire if there are any patients with anorexia who would like them. Jiang Yi looked bewildered. Grandfather, why specifically the patients with anorexia? Seeing Lin Guodong struggle to explain, she couldn't help but chuckle. Don't worry, grandfather, I'll take care of it. However, it seems there aren't many anorexia patients at Jiangxing First People's Hospital. Including myself, there are only about 5 or 6 of us. I will inquire on your behalf. As Jiang Yi stepped into the hospital with a takeout order, he was met with an exceedingly shocking sight. Countless individuals clad in patient attire surged forth, some even wielding bowls and chopsticks. Fearing that there would not be enough dining trays for Lin Guodong, they rushed to ensure they would not miss out on the meal. At that moment, several security personnel, dressed in uniforms, stood at the entrance with their hands on their hips, exuding an air of confidence with eyes that sparkled with determination. The middle-aged man at the forefront was Captain Chun, who subtly lowered his hat's brim and addressed his fellow security members. Brothers, we received a notification from the hospital leadership yesterday that patients have inexplicably begun to gather and linger at the entrance. As security guards, it is our duty to protect the peace. To prevent any safety incidents, we must ascertain the situation today. Following his declaration, a resounding chorus of affirmations echoed from behind. Understood, Captain Chun. Yet, as the elevator on the first floor emitted a cacophony of arrival chimes, Captain Chun's eyes widened in astonishment. There are far too many people. Do we have this many patients in our hospital? The remaining security personnel, who had just responded affirmatively, instinctively took a step back, momentarily paralyzed by the overwhelming tide of individuals before them. Goodness, am I dreaming or have I traversed to a post-apocalyptic world? This cannot be, as I have yet to stock up on supplies. Just as he finished speaking, another security officer playfully struck him on the nose. Ouch, that hurts. This is no dream. Captain Chin exclaimed. I have worked as security in residential areas, hotels, and wellness centers. What haven't I seen? Yet today, I am truly drenched in sweat. I feel the same. This feels akin to a scene from a zombie film. Just look at that patient with crutches. He would surely excel as a zombie extra. No sooner had he spoken than the patients brandished their crutches and 4 bottles, charging forth. Step aside, clear the way, or face dire consequences. Whoever dares obstruct Wang Teng's meal shall meet their end. Initially fierce and imposing, the security personnel, upon seeing the mentally ill patients from the psychiatric ward rushing towards them, were momentarily stunned before retreating without hesitation, forming a path. Captain Chun, we earn over 3,000 a month. We cannot risk our lives. One of them exclaimed. Cough, cough. What nonsense are you spouting? We are stepping aside purely to avoid harming the patients. As the throng surged out of the hospital, Captain Lin followed closely behind. Let us investigate the cause of this overwhelming crowd. Chapter 9. I offer triple the price. Can I cut in line? Grandpa, please bring me a serving. Oh my goodness. They've changed the menu today. The patients gathered around, gazing at the pot filled with rich sauce, succulent brown beef, and golden potatoes. A tantalizing aroma of meat and cream wafted through the air, prompting everyone to stretch their necks eagerly, inhaling the delightful fragrance. You all need to consume more meat to replenish protein and enhance your immunity so that you can be discharged sooner. Upon hearing this, the previously chattering patients fell silent. A youth, around 17 or 18, with his right arm in a cast, spoke wistfully. Once I'm discharged, I want to be able to enjoy my grandpa's cooking anymore. Lin Guodong appeared utterly bewildered. How could that be? I am right here setting up my stall. Anyone who wishes to eat can simply come over. Ah, Grandpa, many of us have come from afar to seek treatment in Jiangxing. Once we recover, we must return. Lin Guodong felt a wave of bittersweet melancholy wash over him, yet he managed to muster a smile, etched with the marks of time. Do not dwell on such thoughts. For today, Grandpa will prepare meals for you all. In this life, savoring the present moment is paramount. Relish every morsel of food. Quickly, bring me the bowl. The enthusiasm of his fellow patients was reignited by Lin Guodong, reminiscent of kindergarten children eagerly lining up at the cafeteria. One by one, they formed an orderly queue, brandishing an array of food containers in vibrant hues of red, yellow, and blue. At the back of the line, Security Chief Chen stood in disbelief. Isn't that the old man I sent away? What on earth is happening? Food God, Grandpa. Is it really necessary to make such a fuss just to buy a meal? He promptly dashed back to the director's office. Knock, knock, knock. Come in. As Chief Chen entered and closed the door behind him, he was greeted by the kind-eyed director, who sat at his desk, peering through his reading glasses. Director, Yesterday there was a large gathering of mentally ill patients outside our hospital, and I've come to clarify the situation. The director nodded, indicating for the security chief to continue. It's an elderly man selling meals. These patients are queuing up to buy rice bowls. Upon hearing this, the director paused in surprise, removing his glasses to rub his tired eyes. Buying rice bowls? Don't we have a cafeteria? Why venture out to buy meals? Chief Chen scratched his head. I'm not sure. The old man's food cart looked clean, and he was dressed in a chef's attire, quite unlike the typical street vendor. Perhaps his food is exceptionally delicious, which is why so many are lining up. The director shook his head. Very well, you've worked hard. Patients have the freedom to choose what they wish to eat, as long as it doesn't pose a safety hazard. In the future, please ensure the safety of those queuing for food outside. By now, it was 11:30, and the atmosphere around Lin Guodong's food cart was increasingly vibrant. From a distance, one might mistake it for a gathering of patients in uniform, a sight both spectacular and unsettling. The bustling business visibly diminished the contents of the pot, filled with beef stew and potatoes. The question of whether everyone would be able to eat before noon loomed uncertainly. Grandpa, why is it almost sold out again? I didn't get any yesterday, exclaimed one. My heavens, what time did you arrive this morning? I must wait for you at the hospital entrance from now on. Grandpa, where do you live? Can I come to your house and wait? Lin Guodong, amused by the increasingly absurd conversations, wore an enigmatic smile. You young ones, speaking so frivolously. With that, he laboriously pulled out a large bucket from beneath the cart, releasing a mouth-watering aroma upon opening it. I was well prepared. The patients erupted in joyous cheers, some even dancing with their food containers. Grandpa, you are incredible. Experience truly shines brighter with age. At that moment, a man emerged from the hospital, the esteemed Mr. Yu from the VIP ward. The persistent scent of disinfectant in the hospital had given him a headache, and he pondered how, as an adult, he could endure such an atmosphere. He couldn't help but feel a pang of anguish for his 8-year-old son, who spent every day confined in the same sterile environment. Before Mr. Yu could step out of the hospital, he was met with a cacophony at the entrance, which exacerbated the headache already nagging at him. Turning his head, he saw a throng of fellow patients surrounding a figure as if at a concert, though the object of their attention was neither a handsome man nor a beautiful woman, but rather an elderly gentleman. Mr. Yu approached a patient clad in a hospital gown, holding a lunchbox, and inquired, Could you kindly tell me what is happening here? The patient regarded him with a puzzled expression. Haven't you heard of Grandpa Lin's specialty rice? It's all the rage these days. Mr. Yu furrowed his brow even more at the mention of this dish. Grandpa Lin's rice. Whose grandpa? Yours or mine? Is this the place that was mentioned in the group chat? With his lips pressed tightly together, he considered for a moment before making his way to the food cart. He reached out to lift the lid and inspect its contents. Stop! Lin Guodong interjected, preventing Mr. Yu from touching the cart with his gold watch-adorned hand. If you wish to purchase food, please wait in line and refrain from touching anything to maintain hygiene. Mr. Yu was irked by the rebuke, yet he noted that this elderly man was quite meticulous about food safety. The cart gleamed with cleanliness, and Lin's white chef's uniform was spotless. With a sigh that seemed to signify a reluctant concession, Mr. Yu said, Fine, I'll take 2 portions. I'm in a hurry. Lin Guodong regarded him with a look of incredulity. Look around you. Do you see what they are wearing? Do you recognize a hospital gown? Have you spotted that young girl with a cast, balancing on one leg with a crutch? Mr. Yu nodded, albeit with confusion. Are you in as much of a hurry as she is? Please, go to the back of the line. The response left Mr. Yu both amused and exasperated. All right. I will pay double, no, triple the price. Just sell it to me first. Lin Guodong tilted his head, peering at him with slightly yellowed eyes. Are you also a neurology patient? Why aren't you in a hospital gown? No matter how much you offer, I will not sell to you. You should know better than to skip the line at your age. In his lifetime, Lin Guodong had been a promising contender for the title of World Culinary Champion in Longhua. When foreign delegations visited, they would specifically request to sample his culinary creations. To him, money was merely a string of numbers. He had often used it to influence others. To be confronted with someone trying to use money to bypass him, especially for a mere rice dish, was a first. Mr. Yu, who possessed a certain wealth and status, felt his face flush with embarrassment in such a public setting. Although he recognized that his earlier actions were inappropriate, his mind had been clouded by concerns over his son. As he prepared to leave after his failed attempt to cut in line, a rich aroma wafted from the food cart as Lin Guodong opened the lid to serve the rice. The delightful scent enveloped him, warming his senses. And despite having already eaten breakfast, his stomach betrayed him with a loud growl. Was that a hint of fruitwood? Chapter 10. Don't even mention waiting in line. I'd eat anything for this. Mr. Yu's considerable wealth and status allowed him to discern, even before tasting, the unique fragrance contained within Lin Guodong's beef dish. As he was the largest timber merchant in Jiangxing and the surrounding 5 provinces, the scale of the enterprise is so vast that it has established branches even in the timber-rich regions of South America, with extraction certificates in hand. It can be described as an integrated supply chain enterprise covering every aspect from timber extraction, transportation, processing, production to sales. In previous years, the wood sold was primarily used in the production of furniture, musical instruments, and even bridge construction. In recent years, with the rise of foreign cultural trends, the sale of fruitwoods such as lychee, apple, and longan, used to smoke steaks, has become a significant pillar of the company's profitability. The flavor resembles that of lychee wood but lacks some of the smokiness. It is neither apple nor longan wood, as the meat smoked with these two types of wood possesses a high degree of sweetness. However, upon careful consideration, the complexity and cost of this production method seem excessive. Who sells street food with fruitwood smoked meat? After all, who enters business without the intention of making a profit? Yet, he had just offered 3 times the price, and still couldn't he obtain it. Despite his many doubts, the hunger his body felt was undeniable. Mister, you turned to look at Lin Guodong with confusion, realizing he was increasingly unable to comprehend this elderly man before him. Perhaps, indeed, he could cure his son's illness. Remembering his son's frail condition, Mr. Yu awkwardly circled around and obediently took his place at the end of the line. As long as it could save his son, he would endure anything, even standing in line. As time passed, it was soon 12:30, and those in line had all purchased their beef and potato rice bowls. How many portions would you like? Lin Guodong asked without looking up. 1, no, 3 portions, came the reply. Upon hearing the voice of the middle-aged man, Lin Guodong raised his head. Is it you? Why aren't you in your hospital gown? Mr. Yu sighed. I apologize, sir. I was just a bit agitated earlier because my son is ill. This meal is for him. Hearing this, Lin Guodong's previously strained expression softened considerably. Why didn't you say so earlier? How old is your son? What illness does he have? The middle-aged man had never encountered a situation where one could discuss medical conditions while buying a meal, yet he felt overwhelmed by suppressed emotions. After all, he was the head of the household, the pillar of the family. He could speak to himself in the car, or even cry in solitude with the windows closed. But he could not share his burdens with his family. These emotions he had to bear alone. Now, encountering an older man, a stranger, who seemed unashamed to discuss such matters, suddenly opened the floodgates of conversation. My son is 8 years old. I was 35 when my wife and I finally conceived. Now he has developed some sort of anorexia. I search for delicacies every day, yet to no avail. Lin Guodong could sense the man's voice thickening with emotion. He slammed the stainless steel lid down heavily, producing a loud thud. What are you doing? Wasn't he agreed that as long as I stand in line, you would sell it to me? Surely, you wouldn't truly make it difficult for me by requiring me to wear a hospital gown to buy it. Lin Guodong rolled his eyes, retrieving a large bucket from beneath the food cart. This one is a bit cold. This bucket is warm. Take it home for your child to eat it hot. Mr. Yu's eyes widened in astonishment as he suddenly felt a warmth in his eyes. I can tell you are a successful individual, obviously very busy. Are you aware that rice is the foundation of the people? The essence of dining does not lie in the lavish delicacies you consume daily. Can feasting on lobsters truly elevate one's stature above others? Ultimately, what enters our bodies is merely protein. Lin Guodong placed 3 steaming boxes of rice before Mr. Yu, his face adorned with a gentle smile. His voice slightly hoarse yet warm as he remarked, what truly matters is who prepared this meal and with whom it is shared. Noticing the reminiscent glimmer in Mr. Yu's eyes, Lin Guodong waved his hand dismissively. Enough of that. Don't let nostalgia hinder my business. Hurry back before your meal grows cold. Mr. Yu nodded and turned to leave. Hey, don't forget to pay. Mr. Yu paused, turning back with an apologetic smile. My apologies, I was lost in thought about your words. Watching Mr. Yu's retreating figure, Lin Guodong smiled faintly. Poor child, only 8 years old and suffering so gravely. I hope this meal will aid your recovery. Mr. Yu cradled the boxed meal in his hands, his mind adrift as he returned to the hospital room, pondering Lin Guodong's sentiments. He reflected on the minutiae of his family life. Each day, I leave early and return late, believing that providing my wife and child with abalone and lobsters is the epitome of a good life. He spoke the truth. Eating lobsters does not confer wisdom over river shrimp. How long has it been since I shared a meal with my wife and child? Though I now find time to stay by the hospital bed, my son cannot even swallow a morsel. Just then, he felt a hand rest upon his shoulder. What is troubling you? Have you been away long? Is the food establishment far? Mr. Yu explained the situation to his wife. What? That is quite exaggerated. Have you really queued for so long? Is it that delectable? Let me taste it for our son. Mr. Yu hesitated but eventually opened the food container and handed it over. Upon lifting the lid, the aromatic steam wafted up, just as Lin Guodong had described, steaming rice, rich brown sauce, and tender, savory beef infused with fruitwood. Instantly, the sterile scent of disinfectant in the vacant VIP room dissipated, replaced by the enticing aroma of meat, dairy, and fruitwood. Dad, the son, who had been resting to conserve energy, suddenly spoke. Mr. Yu hurriedly knelt by the bedside, clasping his son's small yet needle-pocked hand. I'm here, son. Rest assured, I'm right here. The child sniffled. Dad, what is that delightful smell? Mr. Yu was momentarily taken aback. It had been ages since he had heard his child express delight over a scent. He quickly propped his son against the headboard, opening a box of rice and holding it near his son's lips. Son, take a whiff. Is it this fragrance? The boy nodded. Would you like to taste it? His son's smile broadened. Son, take a bite and see. The spoon held pristine white rice, the sauce clinging without dripping, possessing a jelly-like texture. It appeared to rest atop rather than drown the rice, creating an intensely rich presentation. The sauce was filled with perfectly sized beef and potato chunks, easy to consume. Observing his son's hesitance as he opened and then closed his mouth, Mr. Yu suddenly recalled Lin Guodong's words. How long has it been since you last dined with your family? With a gentle bite of his tongue, he repressed his tears and encouraged his son with a smile. Do not be afraid. Look, even Daddy is eating. As he spoke, he stuffed a generous morsel into his own mouth, momentarily leaving Yu in a daze, murmuring to himself. The aroma revealed hints of fruitwood intertwined with the succulent beef. Yet, the primary essence remained the rich flavor of the meat, undiminished by the heavy smokiness or the sweetness of lychee wood. What kind of wood has been used for smoking? A sudden realization struck Yu. This bowl of rice might indeed save his son. With unchewed beef still in his mouth, he fumbled his words, imitating a cartoon character. Oh my, this is truly delicious. Which little friend would like to eat more? His son's laughter erupted, providing Yu the perfect opportunity to feed him another hearty bite. After a moment of chewing, anxiety tightened around the couple's throats as they watched their son, who had previously rejected food. Daddy, why have you stopped? I still want to eat. The words landed like a heavy hammer on Yu's heart, shattering the weight that had long been there. It's all right, Daddy will feed you. Bowing his head, tears streamed down his face, falling onto the rice. Fearing the salty taste of his tears might spoil the meal, he wiped them away with his expensive sleeve. At that moment, his wife had summoned a doctor, and the door swung open to reveal the elderly Professor Chen Liangquan, followed closely by the male doctor who had scolded Jiang Yi for eating street food. Mr. Yu, your child. The old man entered to witness a heartwarming scene. A father feeding his son, who was visibly enjoying the meal, a smile gracing his face with amber-colored sauce at the corners of his mouth. Yu turned back, tears flowing uncontrollably. Director Chen, my son is eating. Chapter 11. Director Chen, aren't you a vegetarian? Chen Liangquan furrowed his brow. But considering the child had just begun to eat, he feared that an overly tense atmosphere might affect him. Thus, he donned a gentle smile and encouraged the child. Little Yu, you are doing wonderfully. Eat. Enjoy your meal. He then made a playful, albeit inappropriate, tiger face. Roar. Can you roar like a tiger, little one? The child in the hospital bed erupted in giggles, devouring the beef with vigor. Noticing 2 ordinary boxes of rice on the table, Chen Liangquan approached and opened one. Mr. Yu, may I have a taste? Yu nodded in agreement. Chen Liangquan scooped a spoonful of gravy and tasted it. A rich flavor of meat enveloped his palate, accompanied by the unique aroma of potatoes. Upon swallowing, a lingering sweetness of fruitwood remained. There was a hint of mild spiciness, not at all irritating, yet it aroused one's appetite. It became clear that the reluctance to eat stemmed from the perception that food was unappetizing, leading to a loss of appetite. We often assume that patients should avoid spicy foods, preparing bland meals daily, believing it to be in their best interest. Yet this approach only diminishes their interest in food further. I generally abstain from spicy food as I find its piquancy overwhelming. However, I have come to realize that if one can manage the intensity, such a subtle heat not only fails to irritate, but can also tantalize the appetite. In the realm of medicine, we often regard patients as mere machines, neglecting the fact that they are living beings, imbued with flesh, blood, thoughts, and emotions. Chen Liangquan seized his spoon and began to indulge, the amber-hued sauce adhering to his white beard. With just a few bites, the fiery sensation of the chili enveloped him in a warm embrace. The fatigue and headache from a sleepless night spent poring over medical records dissipated as he felt an invigorating sense of ease wash over him. The male physician behind him murmured absent-mindedly, Director Chen, haven't you been on a vegetarian diet lately? Chen Liangquan turned with a glare, exclaiming, vegetarian? Who is eating vegetarian? I would be if our hospital's cafeteria didn't serve such unpalatable meat dishes. With such delectable beef stew with potatoes, who would choose to be vegetarian? He gazed dreamily at the culinary delight before him, musing, if only our hospital patients could savor such exquisite meals daily, their spirits would surely lift, perhaps even alleviating their ailments. After all, illness often arises from the mind. Stress, anger, and anxiety are all catalysts for sickness. Mr. Yu, which chef concocted this delightful dish? Upon hearing this, Yu's expression stiffened as he replied. It was prepared by an elderly gentleman at the entrance. The moment those words left his lips, the male doctor was momentarily taken aback, recalling the events in Jiang Ye's ward. An elderly gentleman? Is he not operating a food stall without proper credentials? Chen Liangquan inquired. What did you say? The doctor, unable to conceal the truth, recounted to Chen Liangquan that a similar incident had occurred with Jiang Yi the previous day. Absurd. A healer's compassion dictates that anything beneficial to the patient is worthy of our emulation and advocacy. If only you had informed me sooner. Perhaps Young Yu's condition would have improved yesterday. He urged, come, let us investigate. It was already 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Lin Guodong surveyed the empty food stall before him, nodding in satisfaction. Suddenly, a young man resembling a university student approached, expressing mild apology. Sir, my name is Wang Ming, a student from Jiangxing Film Academy. I've been frequenting this area recently to film you. Lin Guodong looked puzzled. Film me? Young man, I am no celebrity. Why would you wish to film me? Wang Ming's gaze shifted slightly, yet he confessed, I am nearing graduation and lack a suitable project. Initially, I saw you being pursued by 4 individuals and thought there was some ethical misunderstanding among you. However, upon discovering you were selling meals and that they were quite delicious, I wondered if I could film a culinary program featuring you. Lin Guodong nodded in understanding. Young man, I am merely an ordinary old man, with little of interest to film. If you find my cooking to be commendable, I will set up my stall here regularly. You are welcome to come and film my food. That is about all I can offer to assist you. Wang Ming beamed with delight, feeling relieved that his covert filming had not been in vain. Aspiring to become a renowned photographer, he was certainly not aiming to be a paparazzo. Today, I confided in Lin Guodong and was pleasantly surprised to receive his understanding and approval. Ding, system prompt. System task, sell meals at the hospital. Heal 20 patients with anorexia. Number healed today, 4. Reward, improved physical fitness, enhanced vitality to the age of 57. Total completion, 6 individuals, 14 remaining. As the system notification concluded, Lin Guodong felt a surge of warmth in his arm. His emaciated arm bore a hint more muscle definition. Clenching his fist, he sensed a newfound strength. He reached down to touch his taut calf, discovering that his hamstrings were no longer as slack as before. Grandfather. Before he could examine this further, Jiang Yi rushed out of the hospital. Grandfather, I found 3 anorexia patients in the psychiatric ward. Through my persuasion, they each took a bite, and one even bought 2 portions, consuming every last morsel. Lin Guodong recalled the system prompt. 3 anorexia patients? Yet the system indicated 4 had been healed. Suddenly, he remembered the middle-aged man and his 8-year-old son, and a smile crept onto his face. Grandfather, why are you grinning like that? Lin Guodong gently patted Jiang Ye's head and retrieved a cup of milk tea he had prepared earlier. Thank you for helping me at the hospital. Please enjoy this milk tea. Jiang Yi gazed at the milk tea, anxiety bubbling within her, uncertain if she would be able to keep it down. After all, it was high in calories, and given her nearly obsessive dieting, she had resolutely avoided such indulgences. Lin Guodong produced 2 chairs, gesturing for Jiang Yi to sit. The elderly man and the young girl, resembling a grandfather and granddaughter, began to converse by the roadside. My dear, may I inquire why you developed anorexia? Jiang Yi lowered her head in contemplation before responding. I used to be quite overweight, and my classmates at school constantly mocked me, bestowing upon me various nicknames. They regarded me as an outcast, and no one wanted to befriend me. The teachers lamented my lack of social skills, attributing my solitude to my personality. Any fashionable clothing had no relevance to me. You know, grandfather, I dreaded the school's custom-made uniforms. The list showed other girls in sizes S and M, while my name was followed by XXL. For many years, I became the butt of jokes, and I even contemplated ending my life. Eventually, I embarked on an extreme weight loss journey. I would only eat when I felt faint from hunger, and after eating, I would rush to the restroom to induce vomiting. Over time, I did lose weight, but I developed a strong aversion to food. Eating would make me feel nauseous, leading to inevitable vomiting. My immune system also suffered greatly, to the extent that I had to be hospitalized for even a mild cold. Lin Guodong was taken aback by her words, sighing deeply, which made him appear a touch older. He extended his hand to gently stroke Jiang Ye's head, the warmth of his palm offering her some comfort. My dear, from now on, eat well and do not torment yourself. Do not allow societal standards to dictate your uniqueness. I can see you are a kind-hearted young lady. You continue to do good, and let others engage in their own misdeeds. These do not intertwine. Lin Guodong, having finished speaking, supported himself on his knees and stood up, tidying the dining cart as he made his way home. Jiang Yi gazed at Lin Guodong's departing figure, repeatedly recalling the words she had just heard. Suddenly, a flurry of footsteps approached from behind. Turning around, she saw Mr. Yu accompanied by Chun Liangquan and a male doctor. Where is he? Where is he? Chapter 12. Today's delicacy, chicken hot pot rice. Observing Chun Liangquan's face contorted with anger, Jiang Yi felt a surge of panic and hurried towards the hospital. He was just here. I bought 3 lunchboxes from an elderly man with white hair. Upon hearing this, Chun Liangquan's eyes widened with skepticism. An elderly man with white hair? No, it doesn't add up. With such culinary skills, he could easily find work at a prestigious hotel, or even serve as an executive chef. Why would he be selling lunchboxes on the street? As Chun Liangquan paced back and forth, lost in thought, she pondered. Could it be that he possesses exceptional culinary talent, but wishes to make affordable gourmet food accessible to the masses, thus enduring the elements to sell on the streets? Yes, it must be so. If he worked at a high-end hotel, many people would be unable to afford his meals. Such sentiment, a true reflection of a healer's compassion, is indeed something we in the medical field should aspire to. Mr. Yu and the male doctor exchanged glances, taken aback by Chun Liangquan's fervor and rendered speechless. Ah, what a pity I did not get to see the true visage of this esteemed gentleman. Upon returning home, Lin Guodong felt a slight alleviation of the physical fatigue he had experienced the previous day. The prospect of becoming increasingly robust filled him with immense excitement. Ding, system notification. System task, sell meals at the hospital and heal 20 patients suffering from anorexia. Number of patients healed today, 4. Reward, improvement in physical condition, enhanced vitality to that of a 57-year-old. Total completion, 6 patients, 14 remaining. Checking his smartphone, he noted today's revenue, a net profit of 5,000 yuan, totaling 8,500 yuan together with yesterday's earnings. At this rate, he would achieve prosperity even before completing his task. Lin Guodong lay in bed, contemplating the ingredients he would match for tomorrow's meal. As he drifted off, his eyelids grew heavy, and he peacefully fell asleep. Ding, system notification. Distribution of today's ingredients. Chicken, shiitake mushrooms, wide noodles, lettuce, asparagus, rice, spring water, scallions, ginger, garlic, and various seasonings. Price per serving, 30 yuan. Awakened by the system notification, Lin Guodong stretched, dressed, and washed up. After cleaning the dining cart, he approached the refrigerator and retrieved today's ingredients. The chicken and various vegetables indicated that he would be preparing a chicken hot pot today. As he examined the chicken, its tender pink hue captivated him. He pressed his finger against it, noting its quick rebound. The meat was firm and elastic. He picked up the knife, performing a flourish as a warm-up before chopping the chicken into bite-sized pieces. He blanched the meat in cold water, skimming off the impurities until the water boiled. Marveling at the clarity of the pot, the chicken was utterly pristine, devoid of any blood residue. Is this the level of cleanliness achievable in a human slaughterhouse? Initially intending to add scallions, ginger, garlic, and cooking wine to mask any odor, he reconsidered, realizing it was unnecessary given the immaculate state of the meat. Heating oil in the wok, he added the fresh chicken, instantly releasing an enticing aroma. The chicken skin transforms into a deep brown hue under the influence of hot oil. Lin Guodong seizes the opportune moment to swiftly toss the wok. The pot of chicken appears to flip over in unison, akin to a perfectly round pancake, ensuring that each piece of skin receives equal exposure to heat. The result is not a mushy texture, but rather a delightful contrast of crispiness on the outside and tenderness within. Upon completing the stir-frying of the chicken and accompanying vegetables, Lin Guodong opts not for a pressure cooker, but instead retrieves a clay pot. He adds the ingredients, covers the pot, and allows it to simmer gently. Time becomes irrelevant. He gauges the doneness of the food by the steam escaping from the pot's vent. When the aroma reaches a level that pleases him most, he extinguishes the flame and lifts the lid, revealing a pot where small potatoes bask in a rich, bubbling broth, absorbing its essence. He takes a piece of chicken, placing it in his mouth. The initial crunch of the crispy skin gives way to the delightful chewiness of the succulent meat. The rich flavor of the chicken is enhanced by the earthy aroma of shiitake mushrooms. The refreshing crispness of lettuce and asparagus complements the chicken, rendering it savory yet not overwhelming. Lin Guodong, satisfied, nods and serves the chicken pot alongside rice into the dining cabinet. Changing into a pristine white chef's uniform, he hops onto his tricycle and sets off towards the hospital. Alas, before he reaches the hospital, the aged tricycle shakes violently. Disembarking to inspect, Lin Guodong discovers the right rear tire has been punctured by a nail, now as flat as paper. Glancing at the time, he realizes there is no nearby tire repair shop. By the time he gets it fixed, lunch hour would likely be over. Remembering the eager eyes of his patients, he decides to push the tricycle towards the entrance. Along the way, Lin Guodong pauses every few steps, finally arriving at the hospital after much effort. Zhang Yi and the skeletal soldier have been waiting at the entrance, their bowls and chopsticks in hand, pacing back and forth. Zhang Yi, do you think Grandpa will come today? How could he not? He promised me yesterday that he would, but we have been waiting here for almost an hour. Zhang Yi replies, glancing at her phone, which reads 10:30. In the past, she would have finished her meal by now. Just as disappointment begins to set in and they prepare to leave, they suddenly spot a frail old man, breathless as he pushes the tricycle towards them. Grandpa, they exclaim, rushing forward. I'm utterly exhausted. This uncooperative tricycle got a flat tire on the way. All right, you must be famished. Today there's a new dish. Lin Guodong parks the tricycle, sets out a stainless steel container, and lifts the lid, releasing a wave of enticing aroma. Zhang Yi's eyes sparkle with excitement. Braised chicken. It's my favorite. However, the skeletal soldier's expression darkens, prompting Lin Guodong to inquire, what's the matter? Lost your appetite? The skeletal soldier shakes his head. Grandpa, I've never liked chicken since I was little. It always tastes too gamey, and the texture is like cotton candy. Lin Guodong chuckles softly, dons a pair of gloves, and picks up a piece of chicken, blowing on it gently before offering it to the skeletal soldier. Try this. It's unlike any chicken you've had before. And it's not hot. The skeletal soldier hesitates, but at the sight of Lin Guodong's gentle smile, he swallows nervously and opens his mouth. As the tender morsel of chicken entered the skeleton soldier's mouth, his eyes gleamed with excitement. With a single bite, he discovered it was not the expected cotton-like texture, but rather a layer of crispiness akin to fried chicken. As he anticipated the taste of fried chicken, the texture unexpectedly transformed into a delightful chewiness. The meat was firm, allowing him to perceive the intricate fibers of the flesh with each bite. Grandfather, consuming your cooking feels akin to unboxing a mystery prize. This chicken is exquisite. So unlike any I have ever tasted before. Lin Guodong chuckled softly. The chicken you typically eat is mostly frozen, and the freezing process inevitably diminishes its freshness. Jiang Yi took a bite, her curiosity piqued by the richness of the flavor. Grandfather, I've savored freshly slaughtered country chickens at my rural home, and indeed, they differ from what is available in supermarkets. However, that meat was often too tough to chew and sometimes got stuck between my teeth. But yours? Why does it possess both tenderness and resilience? In response to Jiang Yi's inquiry, Lin Guodong unveiled a mysterious smile and retrieved 3 vibrant red items from beneath the dining cabinet. The secret to the succulent and springy texture of the meat, he revealed. Jiang Yi gazed at the objects in his hand, puzzled. Hawthorn. Lin Guodong nodded and distributed the washed hawthorn pieces among the children. Add this while stewing the meat, and the fresh country chicken will become tender yet retain its springiness. However, there's no need to add it to the frozen meat from the supermarket. The two looked at Lin Guodong, perplexed, and exclaimed in unison, Grandfather, can you truly make a profit using such expensive ingredients every day? Have you ever calculated whether you're incurring losses? Lin Guodong served 2 portions of chicken stew and called the 2 over. Jiang Yi and the skeleton soldier sat on the steps, engrossed in their meal. The previously reluctant skeleton soldier not only devoured his own bowl, but also addressed Jiang Yi. Aren't you on a diet? Surely, you can't finish all this meat. I can help you with it. Just as he was about to extend his chopsticks, Jiang Yi playfully swatted him on the back of the head. After finishing their meal, the two whispered to each other before dashing outside under Lin Guodong's watchful gaze. Shortly thereafter, they returned with an assortment of tools, prompting a look of confusion from Lin Guodong. Children, what are you planning to do? The skeleton soldier flashed a knowing smile. Hee, Grandfather, my family runs a repair shop, and I've been learning the trade from my father since childhood. From cars to bicycles, I can handle it all. Leave this tricycle to me. You can move the bucket without it hindering your food sales. Lin Guodong, observing the skeleton soldier's newfound appetite, yet still frail body, quickly intervened. All right, I can find a repair shop in the evening. You two needn't fuss over this. Jiang Yi firmly grasped Lin Guodong's arm. Grandfather, you prepare delicious meals for us every day. You should trust him. Saying this, she pulled out her phone and sent a message in the group chat. Grandfather's special rice is now being served. The security guard at the entrance checked the time and announced, it's 11:30, time to gather everyone. Upon hearing the captain's call, the security personnel hurriedly assembled at the entrance. A line to the right. Stand at attention. At ease. The mission from the director was clear. We must eradicate any safety hazards before they arise. Moments later, everyone followed my lead, resolutely maintaining the harmonious and stable order of the hospital's entry and exit. The security team grasped their small megaphones and approached the hospital gate. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It felt as if we were awaiting the onset of a fierce battle. After 5 minutes, the elevator doors opened. A throng of patients clad in blue and white striped hospital gowns surged forth like a dam bursting. Please do not crowd. Exit in an orderly fashion. Avoid pushing one another, and be mindful of your safety. Please do not crowd. Young man, slow down. Can't you see the person ahead is using crutches? If you're in a wheelchair, could you allow someone to assist you with your meal? Why the rush? The security staff quickly vanished into the throng, as the patients surged forward like bandits invading a village. Don't push. Where's my little bee? Don't step on my little bee. Upon exiting the hospital, dozens of eyes aligned to the right. Those who knew were there to buy meals, while those who did not might have thought they were there for something sinister. As the patients spotted the food cart, they rushed over, with Lin Guodong waving his hands. His voice, though aged, resonated, no pushing, no pushing. Everyone line up properly. I have prepared plenty for you all. The patients instinctively formed a queue, raising their colorful lunchboxes. Lin Guodong was perplexed. The number of people bringing their own lunchboxes seemed to be increasing. At the side, Jiang Yi wore a knowing smile. I informed everyone in the group. Selling lunchboxes isn't easy. I encouraged everyone to bring their own. It's not only cleaner and more hygienic, but also reduces the cost of meal preparation. After speaking, she began to assist Lin Guodong in serving the meals. Wow, the menu has changed again today. The thought of savoring different dishes each day filled him with immense joy. When I was in university, there was only one cafeteria with decent noodles, and I ate them for 2 years. Indeed, rather than ruminating over what to eat each day only to discover it's unappetizing, that feeling is truly disheartening. Now, every meal feels like opening a blind box. This sense of anticipation makes me reluctant to leave the hospital. Lin Guodong felt a swell of happiness at the patient's appreciation for his culinary offerings. Suddenly, he noticed a little girl, around 7 or 8 years old. At the end of the line, her dress, though impeccably tailored and of good quality, was marred by numerous stains. Each time she approached the front, she would retreat a few places back, eventually finding herself at the very end of the queue. As everyone else sat on the steps enjoying their meals, she remained frozen in place, her chubby little hands clutching the hem of her dress. Lin Guodong crouched down beside her. Young lady, are you here to buy a meal? The girl, with her long black hair styled in 2 ponytails and a round, cherubic face adorned with large, doll-like eyes, looked adorably innocent. However, her dark locks were somewhat tangled, and her cheeks bore some smudges. Lin Guodong, somewhat puzzled, continued, then why have you been standing at the back of the line? The little girl fidgeted with a coin in her hands, whispering something inaudible. I am penniless. Upon hearing this, Lin Guodong's drooping eyelids fell even lower. He stood up and glanced around, but could not locate the child's parents. Do your parents know you are out here buying food? The little girl shook her head. I don't remember where home is. My grandmother took me out to buy things. When she was paying, a large wolf dog chased me and barked at me. I was so frightened that I ran into the crowd, but the dog kept pursuing me. I lost my way. I even fell on the road and got my clothes dirty. If my mother finds out, she will scold me. The girl adjusted the hem of her dirt-stained dress with her hands and glanced at her chubby, lotus-like elbows, which bore scratches revealing raw wounds. Seeing this, Lin Guodong promptly retrieved a clean wet wipe and gently lifted the girl's arm to clean her wounds. It hurts, she winced, baring her teeth and flinching from the sting. Lin Guodong then produced several cleaned hawthorn slices from his pocket. Would you like to taste some sour and sweet hawthorn, dear? The girl nodded, accepting the hawthorn and savoring its flavor. Observing that the hawthorn had captured her attention, Lin Guodong quickly wiped the dirt from her wounds. Perhaps the tartness of the hawthorn had whetted the girl's appetite, as Lin Guodong soon heard a rumbling sound emanating from her stomach. The little girl shyly clasped her hands over her belly. With this, the stains on her hands transferred to her pink dress. Lin Guodong's heart sank. It was evident the child was lost. Such an adorable little girl must not encounter any ill-intentioned individuals. However, due to system constraints, he could not offer her a meal for free. Thus, he led the girl aside. Noticing the coins in her hand, akin to those from an arcade, he took out 30 yuan. Dear, your grandfather quite likes those coins you have. Would you sell them to me? The little girl regarded the coins with wide, puzzled eyes. Grandpa, these aren't worth much. That's all right. Your grandfather simply enjoys collecting these seemingly worthless items, just as you love playing with dolls. Does that sound good? After a moment of contemplation, the girl nodded. Her plump, lotus-like fingers extended, offering the coins. Lin Guodong tucked the coins into his pocket, handed the girl 30 yuan, and approached the food cart. Dear, this meal is 30 yuan. Now that you have money, would you like to order a portion? The little girl stared at the money in her hand, clearly bewildered by the sudden complexity of the transaction. How did I suddenly have money? Yet, being a child, the enticing aroma wafting from the food cart proved irresistible. Her stomach audibly growled. Nodding, she handed over the money, while Lin Guodong filled a container with rice and chicken. Here, be careful not to spill it. You can eat right next to your grandfather, all right? As the girl reached out her hands to receive the food, Lin Guodong noticed her grimy palms. He thought to himself how she must have gotten dirty while being chased by the dog and falling on the ground. Therefore, he knelt down and took out a cloth to clean her hands properly. Watching the little girl sit on the steps and enjoy her meal, Lin Guodong took out his phone and dialed the police. Chapter 14 Grandfather, at your age, are you addicted to giving away points in honor of kings? In Jiangqing, at the ZY Garden Villa district, outside a solitary villa, a handful of sparrows perched on the eaves, basking in the sun. However, the interior was in utter disarray. An elderly woman sat on an intricately carved mahogany sofa, weeping inconsolably, her eyes red and swollen. Qinchuan, I truly did not mean to. I let go of Xiaowen's hand for just a moment while I paid with my phone. Suddenly, a cacophony of barking erupted outside. Turning her head, she saw the street teeming with people, yet she could not locate Xiaowen. Qinchuan, towering at least 185 centimeters, donned a sharply tailored suit. Yet his meticulously styled hair appeared somewhat disheveled, clearly a result of hastily returning from work. Mom, try not to panic. I have already reported it to the police. Even as he spoke, Qinchuan's crooked tie betrayed his inner turmoil, as he paced restlessly in the living room. The sound of hurried footsteps echoed from the entrance. Boss, to expedite the search, I have arranged for the housekeeper and all the staff at the company to assist in searching near the location where Xiaowen went missing. A man reported. Qinchuan turned sharply at the sound. Is there any news from the police? Isn't the surveillance network highly developed now? Can't they check the footage? The man was taken aback by Qinchuan's inquiry, stammering as he struggled to respond. Spit it out. Qinchuan urged impatiently. The man swallowed hard and murmured. The police said that Xiaowen ran towards the back door of the market, and beyond that lies an old urban village. The surveillance cameras there are outdated, and currently, there have been no further sightings of Xiaowen. However, they have dispatched local officers to canvass the area. Upon hearing this, the elderly woman on the sofa knelt before a statue of Guanyin nearby. All mistakes are mine. The child is innocent. If only Xiaowen can return safely, I would gladly trade my life for hers. Seeing this, Qinchuan rushed over to assist her. All right, Mom, please stop crying. What use is praying? Stay home and do not go out. I will go and search. Qinchuan anxiously glanced at his watch. It had been 3 hours and 20 minutes since he learned of his daughter's disappearance. He was plagued by uncertainty about what might have transpired during that time. After reporting to the police, Lin Guodong busied himself with preparing a meal while keeping a watchful eye on the girl beside him. He felt relieved when he saw her calmly eating on the steps. Before long, a police car pulled up at the hospital entrance, and 2 uniformed officers stepped out. Ironically, during the 3 hours since the little girl had gone missing, her fear had driven her to run, causing her to venture beyond the search area designated by the police. The officers had not yet received a report of a missing child. Lin Guodong wiped his hands on his apron and hurried over. Officers, I reported a missing little girl. The police acknowledged him with a salute. Sir, when and where did you discover the missing child? After a round of questioning, the officers knelt before the little girl. Little one, I am Uncle Police. Do you remember your parents' or grandparents' phone numbers? The little girl, with her chubby hands, diligently pushed her rice around, shaking her head. Do you remember where you live, or is there any notable building near your home? She was asked. She placed a piece of chicken in her mouth and shook her head once more. The policeman, feeling helpless, stood up and addressed Lin Guodong. Sir, the child cannot recall her family as contact information. We should take her back to the police station. A female officer will look after her while we attempt to reach her family. As the officers prepared to escort the little girl to the car, Lin Guodong grasped the policeman's arm. Officer, it seems the child hasn't eaten for a day. Let her finish her meal first. The policeman pondered for a moment before nodding in agreement, stifling yawns as he watched the girl savor her chicken rice. He had spent the previous night surveilling a location involved in illicit activities and was now on a day shift despite several colleagues suffering from fevers. At that moment, he felt both starved and exhausted. Had it not been for a colleague driving, he would hardly have been able to manage the patrol car. Suddenly, a rumbling noise emanated from beneath his uniform, prompting Lin Guodong to chuckle at the policeman. Are you hungry? This chicken rice is delightful. The officer quickly waved his hand. No, sir, I'm on duty. Lin Guodong smiled and lifted the lid of the container, releasing a rich aroma into the air. The policeman's jaw tightened, clearly enticed by the fragrance, as saliva began to flow uncontrollably. Youthful diligence should not come at the expense of one's health. If you neglect your meals, you may suffer from stomach ailments in the long run. This little girl is eating slowly, so it will take her a while. The policeman gazed longingly at the fragrant rice and chicken stew, unable to resist the temptation, and awkwardly scratched his nose. All right then, I'll order 2 servings. After paying, the officer and his colleague squatted beside the little girl, creating a reassuring atmosphere. As the policeman savored the chicken, the flavors burst forth with each bite. Wow, sir. Your cooking is extraordinary. It's simply delectable. He devoured the chicken, practically finishing off half the rice in mere moments. The chicken was delicious with a touch of mild spice that did not irritate the palate, but rather left him slightly sweating, prompting him to remove his hat and smooth his damp bangs. He felt wonderfully warm, as though basking in the sun. After a night shift without sleep, this meal has invigorated me completely, he remarked, gazing up at the blue sky and white clouds, his eyes momentarily empty. The delightful flavors within him brought an unprecedented sense of satisfaction. Enjoying a fleeting moment of tranquility amidst his busy work, the little girl finished her meal and boarded the car. Lin Guodong then approached a fellow patient who was eating nearby and curiously inquired, "Why don't you return to the ward to eat? Isn't it uncomfortable sitting here?" Without turning around, a patient with a bandaged head enthusiastically responded, "Grandpa, the smell of disinfectant in the ward ruins the flavor of the food. I'd rather sit outside in the sun and enjoy my meal." The other patients nodded in agreement, expressing their shared sentiments. Lin Guodong pondered for a moment before turning to the nearby Jiang Yi and inquired, "My dear, do you know where one might procure those simple stools around here?" Jiang Yi blinked her large eyes in confusion and asked, "Grandpa, why do you need a stool? Are you opening a restaurant?" Lin Guodong waved his hand dismissively. "What restaurant? These individuals are patients, and their health is already compromised. It must be quite uncomfortable to eat while squatting on the ground. I simply wish to buy a few stools to bring along each day so that everyone has a place to sit." As Jiang Yi contemplated this, a fellow patient, whose head was wrapped in bandages, spat out a chicken bone. After finishing the last bite of rice from his meal box, he extended his tongue to lick the edge of the soup. "Grandpa, why bother buying stools? My family sells office supplies. Once we're done, I can have my dad deliver some to you, saving you the trouble of carrying them." Lin Guodong found this suggestion rather appealing. After all, his greatest concern at the moment was his own frail physique. "Young man, I appreciate your kindness, but I shall certainly pay for them. In my line of work selling meals, it is unreasonable to expect diners to foot the bill for basic necessities." As everyone finished their meals and returned to the hospital, Lin Guodong stretched his shoulders and approached Skeleton Soldier and Jiang Yi. What he saw left him in disbelief. The tricycle, with its paint peeling and in disrepair, was adorned with an array of cartoon stickers. Riding it made the vehicle resemble a moving cartoon itself, and the rider was an elderly gentleman. Skeleton Soldier exhaled deeply, instinctively wiping the sweat from his forehead with his grease-stained hand, which made Jiang Yi burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha, your eyebrows." Skeleton Soldier, puzzled, stood up to check his reflection in the tricycle's rearview mirror. "Goodness, I look like the eyebrows of Crayon Shinchan." Lin Guodong offered him 2 towels to wipe his face. "Grandpa, the tire has been repaired, but this old vehicle has seen better days. It's time for an upgrade." Lin Guodong waved his hand dismissively. "Old items hold sentimental value. They still serve their purpose." Skeleton Soldier contemplated for a moment. "It's all right, Grandpa. Today, I lack the necessary tools. When I return home and gather everything, I'll give your tricycle a complete makeover." Lin Guodong quickly shook his head. "No way. At my age, I cannot endure the sensation of speed. The older I get, the more I cherish my life." As the tricycle was finally tidied up, Lin Guodong stretched his somewhat sore shoulders from serving meals. He retrieved his reading glasses, squinted at the screen, and sat down on a stool to play his favorite game from his past life, Honor of Kings. With a lowly body and a mature heart. Magic exists for my sake. Oh, here comes the fiery butt. Jiang Yi was astonished. Grandpa, you still play mobile games. Chapter 15. Is this a hospital or a sports academy? Lin Guodong smiled knowingly. One must maintain a sense of reverence for their teammates. For one can never truly know who they are. So how about a round? Grandpa can help you rank up. Jiang Ye's eyes twitched as she observed Lin Guodong sitting on the stool, his eyes nearly closed to a mere slit, peering through his reading glasses at the phone screen. Those who were aware would know he was gaming. Those who were not might mistakenly think he had dozed off by the roadside. With bony hands clutching her phone, it felt as though she were grasping a hefty brick, unsteady and unable to play properly. If, by some misfortune, the device were to plummet to the ground with a resounding crash, shattering the screen, Jiang Yi would not be the least bit surprised. As for her grandfather, perhaps it was best to refrain from his interference. He could not possibly comprehend the struggle she faced in accumulating those few precious points. Each match brought forth a motley crew of teammates and formidable opponents. She found herself perplexed. Her own win rate was far from impressive, leaving her to ponder the esoteric logic behind such matchmaking. Jiang Yi waved her hand dismissively, yet the words remained unspoken in her heart. Grandfather, please don't lead me astray. You're just sending me to my doom. Just as this thought crossed her mind, Lin Guodong's phone erupted with a cacophony of game sounds. Jiang Yi felt as if she had encountered a ghost. Double kill, triple kill, quadra kill. She held her breath, experiencing a sensation she had never felt as a novice player. Her heart raced as she silently chanted, Goodness, a pentakill. Grandfather, a pentakill. Lin Guodong smacked his thigh in frustration. That foolishly by, stealing the pentakill. As the clock struck 5:30 in the afternoon, the hospital's outpatient services concluded for the day, and a multitude of doctors and nurses streamed out of the building. Each day at precisely 11:30 and 17:30, a peculiar phenomenon unfolded at Jiangxing First Hospital. As if a portal to another realm had opened, a bizarre throng of individuals clad in blue and white striped hospital gowns appeared, reminiscent of scenes from a zombie apocalypse film. Having gained ample experience over the past 2 days, a doctor turned to a nearby nurse, saying, Off work? Aren't you heading home? The nurse shook her head. Not yet. It's too crowded to catch the elevator until about 5:45. The doctor, undeterred, pressed the elevator button, watching the display descend from the top floor. 12th floor, 10th floor, 8th floor, yet it had yet to reach his own 6th floor. Overloaded, the screen declared. The doctor stood bewildered, pivoting to another elevator. Overloaded. Well then, I suppose I'll be working late. He re-entered the office, prompting the nurses at the station to chime in. I told you, there's been a craze for grandfather's rice bowls lately. At meal times, the elevators are packed. If you want to avoid the rush, it's impossible. Arrive late, and all the food is gone. How maddening. The doctor pondered with a hand on his chin. Is it really that delicious? Let us go try it. I enjoy joining in on the excitement. The nurse rolled her eyes. Forget it. We can head home for a warm meal when our shift ends, while the patients are left to eat in the cafeteria. You know how exceptional the food there is. Some patients can't even get a meal, so let us not add to the chaos and allow them to have their share. The doctor raised a thumb in approval. Kudos to you, an angel in white. With that, he turned and entered his office to review patient records. Meanwhile, inside the elevator, which was spacious enough to accommodate an operating table, it was now so overcrowded that even a bottle of water could barely fit. The air was filled with a chorus of lamentations. Oh, I ask you, those of you who feasted on grandfather's rice bowls at noon, can't you survive a single meal without it? I didn't even have time for lunch today. Can you spare some room for others? Can one meal truly be the difference between life and death? Ah, you truly are an intriguing individual. Are you not also hastily joining the queue? Why criticize others? Such double standards, indeed. Oh dear, please do not jostle. Who stepped on my foot? My foot is still in a cast. Do you not find that uncomfortable? I certainly feel the pain. As the elevator descended to the first floor, to my surprise, Dean Zhang, clad in an administrative jacket, was leading a delegation that had just concluded a tour of the hospital, awaiting the elevator to return to his office to continue discussions regarding investment in the institution. Dean Zhang, today has truly broadened our horizons, one member of the delegation exclaimed. I was especially impressed by the nurses on duty in your ICU. They have created a colorful rehabilitation wall for each patient, adorned with family photographs and numerous encouraging messages. It is genuinely moving, whether in terms of medical equipment, the professional competence of the physicians, or the hospital's landscaping and overall environment. The entire medical experience is truly first-rate. The members of the delegation continued to express their admiration fervently. Dean Zhang, while feeling a sense of pride, maintained a modest smile. Suddenly, the elevator door slid open. The delighted expressions of the delegation and Dean Zhang transformed instantaneously, akin to encountering a ghost. As a singular thought occupied their minds, how could this elevator possibly accommodate so many individuals? This is utterly unscientific. As the doors parted, it appeared as though a mass of people surged forth, akin to a tightly packed bag bursting at the seams. With a swift motion, one person cut open a gap in the throng, and the crowd cascaded out. A wave of bodies rushed past, inadvertently knocking Dean Zhang's glasses askew. "Hey, who just grabbed my glasses?" he exclaimed. Nearby, a security guard, startled, quickly crouched down to seize the glasses and protect them in his embrace. Thinking to himself that he finally had the opportunity to curry favor, he ushered Dean Zhang and the delegation aside, as the members exchanged bewildered glances. Observing the torrent of people rushing outside, Dean Zhang, now wearing his glasses, appeared embarrassed and, in a moment of frustration, stamped his foot on the polished shoe of the nearby guard. Internally, he lamented, "What are you all doing? How can you maintain order in the hospital?" Just as he was about to articulate an explanation, the delegation waved their hands dismissively. "Oh, your hospital's elevator is truly the most capacious one I have ever encountered in my lifetime. Were this a standard elevator, it would have long been overloaded. The quality is remarkable. Clearly, your institution places great emphasis on the safety of patients' lives. This elevator must have been quite costly, I presume?" Dean Zhang scratched his head, pondering how best to respond to such an unusual inquiry. The delegation continued to express their astonishment. "What astonishes me the most is the mental state of your patients. I have visited numerous hospitals across the nation, and without exception, they are all rather morose. After all, we are in a hospital, not a wedding venue. However, today, I have truly gained insight. Just look at those patients who have just rushed out. They hardly resemble patients. They are far more vibrant than university students from a sports academy. And that gentleman with the cane, my goodness. He appears so joyful, as if it is not his leg that is injured, but rather mine. This clearly reflects the high standard of medical care at your institution and the harmonious doctor-patient relationship. Quite commendable." Dean Zhang pressed his lips tightly together, relieved that he did not have bangs. Otherwise, they would surely be drenched by now. He wiped his forehead with his hand, which appeared to have been washed clean, directly smearing it on the uniform of a nearby security guard. Adjusting his spectacles that were askew, he nodded repeatedly. Indeed, you are absolutely right. Everything you say is correct." The inspection team, pleased with the satisfactory responses, declared, "All right. Dean Zhang, I see no need to discuss further in your office. I will report back to the leadership right away. Such an outstanding hospital. We are definitely keen on investing and collaborating. Tomorrow, I will bring the leadership here to witness this scene for themselves. I doubt they would believe it otherwise, huh?" With that, the inspection team left in high spirits, having decided to invest and expand their operations. Dean Zhang called the security guard aside and inquired, "What on earth just transpired? Were we filming a movie? Why was it so alarming? Were they rushing out for free eggs?" The security guard, looking quite aggrieved, waved his hands frantically. "No free eggs, no free eggs, Dean Zhang. Did I not report to you yesterday that a vendor selling meals, named Grandpa's Special Rice, has been causing quite a commotion at the hospital entrance? It becomes chaotic at meal times, like a riot. They sold out the other day by noon, which is why you didn't witness it when you returned in the afternoon." Dean Zhang furrowed his brow in contemplation. "Grandpa's special? Which grandpa? This is too dangerous. From now on, during these two peak times, your security team must take responsibility. Organize personnel to set up barriers at the entrance to ensure an orderly flow of people. What if we encounter expectant mothers or parents with children?" After the security captain acknowledged the order, he turned to observe the scene at the hospital entrance. As the patients exited, they all promptly turned to the right, noticing Lin Guodong sitting on a bench, engrossed in something. A crowd soon gathered around him. And as they drew closer, they discovered that he was playing Honor of Kings on his mobile device. Chapter 16, Urban Management, Do Not Move. "I am lying on the ground. How will you respond? Quickly farm the jungle. Falling behind in levels, yet still engaging in battles? What do you understand? In a disadvantaged economy. If you do not fight, you will be dragged to ruin. Exactly. In such a disadvantageous position. Farming in the jungle is akin to the opposing side invading your home territory." Lin Guodong suddenly felt a shadow pass over him, as if dark clouds had obscured the sun. Looking up, he saw a circle of patients surrounding him, all gazing intently and discussing amongst themselves. "Grandpa, you also play mobile games? Do you play Peacekeeper Elite?" "I curse like a sailor." Lin Guodong, looking at a young boy with his arm in a cast, felt a pulse at his temples. "Child, gaming is meant to bring joy and alleviate stress. Do not let it anger you. Is that hand of yours injured in a real-life encounter?" Another patient chimed in, "Grandpa, I am the number 1D Renjia in the national server. I could be your practice partner. Can I get to eat first next time?" At this remark, the other patients immediately expressed their discontent. How shameless can one be? Claiming to be the number 1D Renjia in the national server. Is there anyone who would deceive an old man like this? Indeed, such a vile attitude. Resorting to any means to cut in line, Lin Guodong patted the heads of the children around him. Enough. Quickly go and line up. Our meal is about to begin." Just as everyone had formed a neat queue, eagerly holding their meal boxes aloft, a white jeep approached, emblazoned with the words City Management Department. Upon arriving at the hospital entrance, the vendors did not exhibit any signs of panic. To facilitate patients' dining, the hospital had granted special permission for operations at this location, provided one possessed the necessary qualifications. A middle-aged man, approximately 40 years of age, alighted from the vehicle, surveying the throng of patients waiting in line. "What is going on here? Are we having a celebrity appearance?" remarked a stout, short manager beside him, sniffing the air. Captain, what is that delightful aroma? The captain chuckled in response. You truly live up to your title as our department's culinary oracle. Your nose is sharper than that of a police dog. What else could it be but stinky tofu? The vendor should be setting up her stall at this hour. However, as they approached, they discovered only a handful of customers at the stinky tofu stand. The long queue was for a new vendor. Who is that? I've never seen him before, the captain mused, eyeing Lin Guodong as he slowly advanced. Activating his body camera, he approached Lin with amplified volume to ensure he could be heard. Good day, sir. Lin Guodong was busily serving meals to the patients when he was startled by the shout. Initially mistaking the duo for patients from a psychiatric ward, he turned around to find them clad in matching uniforms, presumably officials from some department. With a wave and a smile, Lin responded, Hello, comrade. I may look old, but I'm not deaf. What brings you here? The captain chuckled lightly. Pardon the interruption. I represent the city street management office. I've not encountered you before. And while you are permitted to set up here, I must request that you present the relevant qualifications. At the mention of qualifications, Lin's eye twitched, and beads of cold sweat began to form on his forehead. Qualifications? He didn't even possess a health certificate. Given his condition, he figured the report would reveal numerous ailments, making it unlikely he could obtain one. He regretted not pretending not to hear them. Seeing the predicament, Zhang Yi felt a sinking sensation. She understood that Lin Guodong had been operating without a license. Hastily, she stepped aside to retrieve her phone and dialed her mother. Hurry, bring something. Quickly, with the speed of your life. Lin's eyes darted around as he concocted a plan. Comrades, look at all these patients lined up. They are unwell. Would you mind waiting for a moment? Or I could prepare 2 meals for you to enjoy while they finish their purchases. Before the captain could respond, the plump manager emitted a peculiar sound, a loud grumble. Perhaps due to his girth, his stomach growled much louder than usual, echoing as if a concert was being held within. Since earlier, he had been fixated on the chicken pot simmering in the pot. Known as the culinary god at the company, he possessed a profound love for food. His discerning palate had earned him quite the reputation. Even so, one could hardly resist the alluring aroma of Lin Guodong's chicken pot. It was simply too enticing. And one could not help but feel compelled to investigate further. With such an intoxicating scent wafting through the air, how could the dish not be utterly delectable? What are you doing? The captain admonished with a glare, simultaneously turning his attention to Lin Guodong. Sir, could you please allow me to have a look? I assure you it won't interfere with your business. Several regular patrons of Lin Guodong observed the elderly gentleman struggling to articulate his thoughts, and, upon discerning that he was in distress, sprang into action. One ailing customer, aided by a cane, stepped forward and extended his leg, encased in plaster, towards the urban management officer. Don't move. Let me tell you that this gentleman's cooking is both clean and hygienic, delicious and affordable. Don't come at me with that nonsense. See my leg. I'm a cripple, so do not touch me. At this declaration, a wave of commotion rippled through the crowd, and more patients emerged to support him. Yes, it's delicious and economical. I have never tasted such wonderful food. Another chimed in. You can see I am wearing a mask. My eyes are afflicted. And if you touch me, the consequences could be dire. Indeed, my mind is not quite right. A third added. And I have a skin condition. The surrounding crowd instinctively took a step back at these words. Oh, it's not contagious. The captain and the portly officer exchanged bewildered glances with the ailing patrons, hastily gesturing for calm. Everyone, please do not misunderstand. We are conducting ourselves with civility and are recording our enforcement actions. With that, the captain pointed to the red light on his chest. Furthermore, my name and badge number are clearly visible for your oversight. However, we must still fulfill our duties and kindly request this gentleman to present his documentation. Lin Guodong, with his mismatched eyes, was utterly flabbergasted by the captain's courteous demeanor. He mused to himself that the urban management officers from his previous life were not so tactful. He felt a twinge of embarrassment at the thought of attempting to evade responsibility. In truth, he had no fear of being forthright, if necessary. He could simply close up shop and procure the necessary permits the following day. Yet, if he was unable to sell his food now, his loyal patrons would have queued in vain, returning home with empty stomachs. Just as he was lost in thought, the screeching of tires pierced the air. It was Jiang Ye's mother, rushing over with a yellow craft envelope in hand. I'm so sorry, I forgot to give you your documents, she exclaimed, handing him the envelope. Upon opening it, Lin Guodong found a health certificate, a business license, and various other permits. The captain took the documents, scrutinized their authenticity, and returned them with a respectful nod. Thank you for your cooperation. We hope for your understanding in our duties. He then attempted to pull the reluctant officer away, but the portly figure remained stubbornly rooted in place. Come on, what is this poking about? The officer chuckled, a faux smile plastered across his face. Captain, look. I haven't had dinner yet. If we're not busy, why not grab a bite before we leave? The captain, seemingly displeased with the suggestion, shot a stern glance at his companion and tugged at him insistently. Just as the officer was about to concede defeat, Lin Guodong extended his bony hand and grabbed the captain's arm. Comrade, no matter how busy you are, you must take the time to enjoy a good meal. Just look at how hungry Xiaopeng is. His stomach resembles a music player. Do taste this dish I have prepared. Its flavor will not disappoint you. The rotund fellow nodded vigorously. Captain, as a native of Fujian, I have never encountered such delectable chicken pot before. Let us indulge, especially since someone of such age has graciously invited you. It would be impolite to decline. Chapter 17. The urban management officer praises the delicacies of this street vendor. The captain, at a loss for words, had indeed been drawn in by the enticing aroma. However, he felt somewhat embarrassed to express his desire while on duty. With a sigh, he remarked, "You wait in line. I will step into the car to make a phone call. And remember, you must pay." Xiao Peng nodded and hurried to the back of the queue. Lin Guodong, noticing Jiang Yi playfully flashing a peace sign, mimicked him, eliciting laughter from the fellow patients in line. Before long, the captain returned from the car, and he and Xiao Peng settled on the steps to enjoy their meal. As they opened the takeout box, the alluring fragrance of chicken wafted forth. Each bite elicited an exclamation of delight from Xiao Peng. Observing this, the captain could only shake his head in resignation. "I concede that it is indeed delicious, but you are being rather excessive. After all, your father-in-law owns a restaurant. Doesn't he?" Xiao Peng shoveled a generous mouthful of rice drenched in chicken broth, and upon swallowing, he experienced an overwhelming sense of nostalgia. "Captain, I am indeed from Fujian, yet I have never tasted such exquisite chicken pot. This dish was invented by a Fujianese named Zhang Chongqing. The local chicken pot in Fujian differs somewhat from that of Chongqing. Typically, chicken pots either have an overwhelmingly strong sauce or are excessively spicy, masking the inherent flavor of the chicken itself. In truth, quality chicken is rare. Free-range chickens are prohibitively expensive. How much can a serving of chicken pot sell for? It barely covers the cost of a single free-range chicken. Street vendors are meant to offer affordability, which makes high-quality chicken virtually unattainable due to cost constraints. These are chickens that have lived their entire lives without traversing more than 50 steps from birth to the dinner table. The smaller the animal, the more susceptible it is to illness in concentrated farming conditions, leading to the use of antibiotics from a young age, which inevitably affects the meat's quality. The captain listened in astonishment. He had never considered the vast differences in chicken quality. Nevertheless, he nodded in agreement. "I trust your judgment, as your family owns a restaurant. But I must admit, this chicken is indeed different from what I typically consume." With a single bite, he discovered a delightful crispiness akin to fried chicken, yet within, it was tender and flavorful, devoid of the usual cottony texture associated with lesser quality chicken. For the first time, he savored the authentic essence of chicken. Xiao Peng lowered his head and pulled out his phone, dialing a number. "Hello, dear wife, when will your father be free? Could you ask him to come to Jiangxing Hospital? No one wishes him ill. I have encountered an elderly gentleman here who excels at making chicken pot. You may not believe it, but it is even tastier than what your father prepares. Let him come and learn." The captain chuckled, spewing a mouthful of rice onto the ground. "You think the urban management officers are underappreciated? You should truly consider running a restaurant yourself." The once exuberant expression of the plump man, who had been savoring his chicken hot pot, had now dulled significantly. With his chopsticks, he listlessly poked at the rice, which was thoroughly mixed with the rich broth. "Is there any solution, Captain? Although you all constantly mock my gluttony, I remain indifferent, as it is all for my son. He never eats, and compared to his healthy peers, he resembles a mere skeleton, pale and emaciated, perpetually falling ill. Teachers have approached me several times, expressing concern over his solitary nature and lack of friends. Yet my son tells me that he tires easily when playing games with others, leading his classmates to exclude him. He has no companions and has visited numerous hospitals, taken countless medications, all in vain. I merely wish to discover delectable dishes. After work, I return to the restaurant to experiment with new recipes, hoping he might enjoy them. After all, boys should grow robust and healthy, rather than resembling a fragile beauty. Our family is deeply troubled by this matter." The captain sighed and patted his shoulder in a gesture of consolation. But, coincidentally, these words were overheard by Lin Guodong, who approached and seated himself beside them, his voice frail with age. "Young man, what ailment afflicts your son?" The plump man hesitated to respond to the unfamiliar Lin Guodong, offering a dismissive reply. "It's nothing. He simply has poor eating habits during his growth phase, having lived 2 lives. Lin Guodong discerned from the man's expression that the issue was far more complex. The child likely suffered from a form of anorexia. Smiling, he suggested, "If you trust my advice, take a portion of food home for your son to try." The plump man reminisced about the delectable taste of the chicken, and a glimmer of hope appeared in his dim eyes. Indeed, it was not expensive. What if it proved effective? Contemplating this, he nodded, paid for a portion, and bid farewell to Lin Guodong before driving home. As he entered his house with the fragrant chicken hot pot in hand, he called out, "Wife, I'm back." However, upon opening the door, he was met with a cacophony of wails. "Wah, I want to eat. This is too greasy. It makes me feel nauseous." Inside the room, a woman donned in an apron, her face etched with worry, held a bowl. "Son, if you don't want meat, why not try this stir-fried asparagus I made? It's not oily at all." The child hesitantly extended his delicate tongue to taste, only to scrunch his brows in disapproval. "It's not tasty at all. It has no flavor. I want meat." The plump man sighed helplessly, supporting himself against the entrance wall as he changed his shoes and approached the dining table to take the bowl. "Let me handle it, dear. You've worked hard all day." The woman, however, showed no signs of appreciation for his thoughtfulness and silently retreated to the kitchen. Gazing at the mountain of ingredients and utensils piled in the cupboard, she knew that her afternoon's efforts to prepare something new had once again failed. The sound of running water from the faucet masked her sorrow as she stood with her back turned to the plump man, saying nothing. He forced a smile, spooning large bites of his wife's cooking. Oh, this is truly delicious. If the little one doesn't eat soon, his greedy father will finish it all. Yet, his actions seemed to have little effect on the child's appetite. The tender visage bore traces of tears as he turned to gaze at the white takeout box resting at the entrance. Father, what have you brought home? It was only then that he remembered the chicken pot rice he had purchased from Lin Guodong, and he retrieved the box. Observing the unwavering gaze of his son, he felt a flicker of surprise within. Gently lifting the lid of the box, a wave of enticing aroma wafted forth, overshadowing the meal prepared by his wife. As he noticed his son's nose twitching, a spark of warmth ignited in his heart. Father, what is this delightful dish? I have never encountered such a fragrance before. Upon hearing these words, the woman in the kitchen abruptly turned, hastily abandoning the faucet. What is this, fatty? This is what I mentioned when I called you. I discovered an incredibly delicious chicken pot at a roadside stall while at work. The woman's brow furrowed in concern. A roadside stall? Is it clean? Fatty cast her an exasperated glance. What do you mean clean? It's a wonderful opportunity for our son to try something new. He gradually brought the takeout box closer to his son, the mingling scents of rice, bamboo, and chicken enticingly filling the air. With a gasp, Fatty exchanged incredulous glances with his wife before whispering, did he just swallow? He did, didn't he? Seizing the moment, Fatty quickly picked up a piece of chicken with his chopsticks. It appeared somewhat large, and he contemplated breaking it apart. Suddenly, a small hand clasped around his chubby fingers. The child's grip was weak, yet Fatty felt the gentle guidance urging him to place the chicken into the boy's mouth. Chapter 18. The city management officer's father-in-law praises my cooking. The wife anxiously observed the scene unfolding before her. She felt the sizable chunk of chicken was perhaps too much for the child. Yet, the boy seemed utterly unfazed, eagerly stuffing the meat into his mouth. Greedily chewing as he stammered, Father, this meat is truly delicious. Did you make it? Those words detonated like an atomic bomb in the hearts of the couple, shattering the long-held weight of unspoken feelings. Their breaths became noticeably lighter. It wasn't tea made by father. It was crafted by a very skilled grandpa. The son tilted his head, furrowing his brow in curiosity. A very skilled grandpa? Is he more talented than my grandpa? Isn't my grandpa a chef? Before he could finish, the sound of keys jingling at the door interrupted the moment. A man in his 60s entered, laden with bags. Dad, what brings you here? Is everything all right at the restaurant? Upon hearing his wife's inquiry, the middle-aged man waved his hand nonchalantly. It's nothing serious. The evening crowd was sparse. Your mother can manage just fine. There's nothing more important than my eldest grandson's meal. Today, I experimented with a few new dishes, and I brought them for my grandson to taste. I've tried them, and they're quite delightful. I'm sure my grandson will love them. Fatty and his wife exchanged uncertain glances at the father's unwavering confidence, momentarily at a loss for words. Why are you two staring blankly? Come and help. The elder extended a hand, offering the food bags. Suddenly, his eyes caught sight of the child contentedly chewing on something. The old man observed the hefty fellow feeding the boy with great care, rubbing his eyes in disbelief. My eldest grandson is eating heartily. The old man, filled with joy akin to that of a child, hurriedly grabbed the lunchbox and dashed over, exclaiming, Bless the Bodhisattva, bless the Bodhisattva. I knew that sincerity brings forth miracles. Despite those who mock me for my superstitions, claiming that praying to deities is futile. Quickly, I prepared candied bananas today. They are sweet and crisp, and my grandson will surely adore them. Alongside, there are garlic-steamed shrimp tails and vibrant corn and peas, such appealing colors that children love. As he spoke, the old man opened all the takeout boxes, unceremoniously pushing the hefty fellow aside. My dear grandson, look what Grandpa has brought for you, delicacies to savor. The boy, initially enjoying his meal, frowned at the sight of the delicious chicken pot being replaced by the seemingly saccharine candied bananas. His brows furrowed, lips pouted, and hands placed firmly on his hips, he expressed his discontent. I want to eat that. I want that one. It's delicious. The old man looked puzzled at the hefty fellow. Dad, during my work today, I discovered an exceptionally delightful chicken pot. I brought it home to try, and unexpectedly, the child took a liking to it. The old man furrowed his brows. You're working? Don't you usually deal with street vendors? Is that food even hygienic? The old man seemed concerned, perhaps feeling that his own culinary skills as a restaurant chef were being overshadowed by street food, or perhaps worried about his grandson eating from such vendors. He regarded the hefty fellow with a stern gaze, muttering while sampling a bite. Street vendors can't possibly be that good. If they were truly that exceptional, who would run a street stall? Surely, he could find a job in any hotel. Delicious. Truly delicious. The old man took a bite of the chicken, utterly astonished. Even cold, one could only imagine how delectable it must be when hot. This chicken is remarkably fresh, certainly free-range. The meat is tenderly stewed, yet the exterior maintains a delightful crispness. Moreover, the seasoning is exquisite. The chicken pot does not overwhelm with spices, allowing the natural flavor of the chicken to shine through. Incredible, simply incredible. Immediately, another bite was taken. But the woman snatched the lunchbox away. Can't you eat something else? What will your grandson eat once you're done? The old man, appearing sheepish, resembled a child caught in wrongdoing. Ahem, I was merely tasting it. I want to eat any more. Let my grandson have it. The boy, seeing the chicken pot return to him, joyfully clapped his hands and dug in. The old man beamed, his face wrinkled with delight. Yet, the chef's curiosity about culinary skills resurfaced. He pulled the hefty fellow aside to discuss. Son-in-law, this chef, could they be a renowned culinary master? The hefty fellow shook his head. Is this meal exorbitantly priced? Again, he shook his head. How perplexing. This chef indeed possesses remarkable cooking skills, both in technique and experience. However, what astonishes me most is the quality of the ingredients. Exceedingly fresh, that much is evident. There are flavors within that I have never encountered before. For a moment, I found myself at a loss to articulate how he had seasoned the dish. Perhaps this was the very reason it captivated my eldest grandson. However, upon reflection, one cannot fathom that such a delicacy would merely cost 30 yuan. Surely, the cost of the ingredients alone would exceed that. Moreover, if the dish is crafted so exquisitely, why resort to selling on the roadside? A veil of confusion enveloped the two, and after a moment of contemplation, the portly fellow suddenly remarked, Father, we must go see for ourselves tomorrow. Our speculations are futile. If it comes to it, we could invest a little, and perhaps he might teach you. The old man shook his head, a frown etched upon his face. Are you out of your mind? I am 60 years old. Am I to become an apprentice? Furthermore, you underestimate the situation. A person with such skills would not be in need of money. If he were willing to work in my establishment, I could offer him 30,000 a month, yet it might not suffice to entice him. With such culinary prowess, he could easily find employment at a 5-star hotel, where he would merely sip tea and oversee operations, occasionally showcasing his talents, earning effortlessly a considerable sum each month. The transmission of top-tier culinary skills hinges upon fate. A master must regard the character of their apprentice. A mutual affinity is essential. At my age, to seek a mentor would be absurd. Besides, I suspect there is a secret to his ingredients. They embody the essence of his culinary success, which he would hardly divulge lightly. Listening to the old man's soliloquy filled with objections, the portly fellow found himself at a loss. After a moment's contemplation, the old man continued, in any case, his stall is not far from our home. Henceforth, we shall queue daily to procure meals for my eldest grandson. Eventually, as we become familiar, I shall invite him to our restaurant for a chat over drinks. At the entrance of Jiangxing Hospital, Lin Guodong surveyed the empty food cabinet, nodding in satisfaction. Ding. System notification. System task. Sell meals at the hospital. Healed 20 patients with anorexia. Patients healed today. 1. Reward. Improved physical fitness. Enhanced to the level of 56.5. Total completion. 7 patients. Remaining. 13. Upon hearing the system notification, Lin Guodong realized that among today's patrons, only one was afflicted with anorexia. The pace of completing the task was rather sluggish. As he began to pack up his belongings in preparation to return home, a man clad in an administrative jacket passed by the hospital entrance. The man, adjusting his crooked glasses with his right hand, approached Lin Guodong. Hello. Do you still have any meals available? Lin Guodong looked up, gesturing apologetically. I'm afraid we've sold out for today. Please come back tomorrow. The man held on to Lin Guodong, smiling as he replied, Sir, I am the director of the adjacent hospital, and you have become quite the sensation here. It is said that your meals are akin to concert tickets, hard to come by. Arriving late means missing out entirely. It seems the rumors hold true. Lin Guodong gazed at the middle-aged man before him, astonished to discover he was the director. Director? I am merely a vendor of boxed meals. How can I be compared to a concert star? He responded earnestly. I truly have none left. Perhaps you could return tomorrow. The director, observing Lin Guodong's effort to lift the cabinet as proof, quickly waved his hand dismissively. Today, I sought you out to inquire if you would be interested in selling meals at the hospital cafeteria. Chapter 19. The completion of the system task approaches. Lin Guodong was momentarily taken aback by this suggestion. When he first arrived at the hospital, he was eager to complete his tasks swiftly. The most expedient method, naturally, would be to cater exclusively to patients suffering from anorexia. However, as the number of patients who relished his meals increased, and he observed their satisfied expressions post-repast, that sense of urgency and impatience dissipated. It appeared that setting up a stall at the entrance could be quite agreeable. The director stated, however, I do have a stipulation. After all, food safety is paramount. Once you enter the cafeteria, you will be subject to our oversight. There are strict requirements regarding quality and pricing. And to ensure food safety, you must use the ingredients we provide. Rest assured, the procurement costs will not be a burden to you. Upon hearing this, Lin Guodong's expression twitched. While he was indeed willing to sell meals at the hospital, the stipulation of using their ingredients was utterly unacceptable. The premium food supplies provided by higher refrigerators were beyond comparison. Contemplating this, Lin Guodong decided against hesitating any further and cleared his throat to speak. Director, first and foremost, I must express my gratitude for your invitation. However, Should I sell meals at the hospital, the cost of rent would necessitate a price increase. I am concerned that this might impose a burden on some of the children, especially since many patients come from working-class backgrounds. Additionally, individuals from outside the hospital may not have access to these meals. Therefore, I appreciate your kind offer, but I believe it is best for me to remain outside. His words left the director momentarily stunned. Allowing Lin Guodong to sell meals in the cafeteria posed certain risks for the hospital. Now that he was reluctant, the director found himself puzzled, considering how vital food safety was, with a unified procurement of ingredients being a non-negotiable standard. Initially, he had anticipated that Lin Guodong, appearing to be of mature age, would readily agree, sparing himself the hardship of daily exposure to the elements. Yet, to his surprise, Lin Guodong hesitated due to concerns that a price increase might deter some from dining in the cafeteria, leading the director to regard him with newfound respect. Very well. Since you are unwilling, I shall not press the matter. If you encounter any difficulties while selling outside, you may reach out to the security personnel. I have already informed them to extend some leniency towards you, considering your age. Lin Guodong's mind began to race with possibilities. Director, I do have a question that I would like to trouble you with. Anorexia? This falls under the category of mental disorders. Our hospital has approximately 5 or 6 patients suffering from it. Truth be told, such cases are not prevalent in hospitals, as this condition, frankly, is not easily treatable. Hence, many patients opt not to be hospitalized. Why, then, should we focus on catering to those with anorexia? Unable to disclose the underlying reasons, Lin Guodong resorted to a small falsehood. I believe that patients with anorexia endure considerable suffering. They struggle to eat and sleep, often resembling skeletal figures. The response to my meals from the anorexia patients at our hospital has been quite favorable. While I cannot claim that my food has cured their condition, at the very least, it has enabled them to consume something, aiding in their recovery. Upon hearing this, the director nodded thoughtfully, stroking his chin in contemplation. Unexpectedly, the leg of his glasses broke, causing them to slip from his grasp and fall to the floor. Embarrassed, he picked them up and wiped them off, saying, "In that case, I shall assist you in contacting other hospitals." At that moment, one could enlist an individual to carry a thermal box for a unified delivery. To gauge the reactions of everyone involved, Lin Guodong contemplated the scenario, with 5 or 6 patients in a hospital and several hospitals to engage. This task could be accomplished in no time. Excitedly, he grasped the director's hand and shook it vigorously. He expressed gratitude to the director for his benevolence and compassionate heart. The director smiled, adjusting his glasses with one hand while reciprocating Lin Guodong's enthusiastic shake. "Ah, my dear sir, it is you who embodies kindness. I have heard that the patients in our hospital have benefited from your meals. They no longer display the lethargy they once had during their hospital stays. Instead, they are uplifted and cheerful. The most frequent topic of discussion has become the culinary delights you will prepare the following day, and their spirits and health have markedly improved. Though you are not a physician, you heal patients in your unique way, and I hold deep admiration for that." The director recalled the promise made by the inspection team to invest in their initiative, filling him with immense joy and gratitude towards Lin Guodong. After bidding farewell, they returned home, tidying up the meal cart along the way. As they walked, a tricycle adorned with a plethora of cartoon stickers caught the attention of passers-by. The elderly gentleman's appearance was reminiscent of a character from the animated realm. Upon reaching the ground floor, in celebration of the impending success of their endeavor, Lin Guodong visited a McFlurry outlet. "Hello, I would like a McFlurry," he stated. The cashier, taken aback by the sight of an elderly man ordering such a treat, couldn't he help but chuckle heartily, her dimples deepening, making her smile even sweeter than the dessert. "Sir, how many would you like? What flavor do you prefer? Would you like it to go or to enjoy here?" Recalling his own experience of being addressed as grandpa when he first arrived in this world, Lin Guodong, now in this youthful body of 30, found it amusing yet somewhat strange. However, faced with a young and lovely girl calling him grandpa, he felt a sense of acceptance. "Dear girl, I would like one to enjoy here." As he held the McFlurry, the cool sensation coursed through his hand, alleviating some of his earlier irritations and diminishing the fatigue from a day spent selling boxed meals. With a couple of spoonfuls of the icy treat, a wave of refreshing delight enveloped him, bringing comfort to his tongue and mouth. The creamy texture, mingled with chocolate flakes, provided a delightful complexity, rich with the sweetness of milk. Indeed, culinary delights are the most effective remedy. Yet, compared to the desserts he crafted in his previous life, this treat fell short. Perhaps he could create some sweets for the children another day? Upon returning home, Lin Guodong glanced at the balance on his phone. Having traversed into this new realm for 3 days, he had earned 500 yuan on the first day and approximately 5,000 yuan on the second and third days, totaling 12,500 yuan. While this amount paled in comparison to other adventurers who boasted billions from the outset, Lin Guodong felt a profound sense of satisfaction. For he had validated the adage, does wealth equate to utility? Can it fortify one's physical vitality? Thus far, he had enhanced his physical constitution over 45 years. And every day, countless individuals smiled genuinely after partaking in his meals. He had even aided 7 anorexia patients and helped numerous others improve their dreary hospital existence. His heart brimmed with fulfillment. Furthermore, The director has promised to assist him in locating patients suffering from anorexia, which brings hope for the successful completion of his task. Each day, Lin Guodong finds the most relaxing activity to be lying in bed upon returning home. As one ages, both body and energy undeniably diminish. Young individuals, after a full day of work, seem to embark on a vibrant nightlife filled with mahjong, karaoke, and dancing, reveling until the early hours. In contrast, Lin Guodong feels utterly exhausted by the time he closes his stall and returns home, nearly succumbing to slumber. Suddenly, he contemplates testing the system's reward for enhanced physical fitness. Thus, he ventures out to a sports equipment store. The clerk, taken aback by the sight of a frail, elderly gentleman entering, wonders if fitness has become a trend among seniors. "Sir, what can I assist you with?" Chapter 20, Layered Crispy Beef Pie. Lin Guodong gestures with his hands, inquiring, "Young man, do you possess anything that can measure changes in strength?" After pondering for a moment, the clerk produces a refined hand grip strengthener, adorned with a blue electronic display. "Sir, take a look at this. It can measure your grip strength data. It is quite simple to use. Just grip it and hold for 3 seconds, and it will record your strength value. This way, you can ascertain changes in your physical capabilities." Lin Guodong gazes at the device with great satisfaction, makes his purchase, and returns home. With arms resembling desiccated branches, he presses down on the hand grip, only to discover that he could barely compress it halfway. Recording this data will provide a clear understanding of his physical condition. The gratifying sensation of personal growth is indeed delightful. The following morning, Lin Guodong is roused from his slumber by the incessant notifications of the system. Ding, system notification, issuing today's ingredients: beef, water chestnuts, eggs, flour, spring water, scallions, ginger, garlic, and various seasonings. Price, 30 yuan per portion. As he examines the list of ingredients, a multitude of culinary ideas floods his mind. Without rice, Lin Guodong chuckles to himself. Who would have thought that I was born in the carbohydrate paradise of Shaanxi in my previous life? He meticulously cleans his food cart until it gleams. Observing the cartoon stickers adorning it, a hint of a smile graces his otherwise wrinkled face. Opening the higher refrigerator, his eyes sparkle at the sight of the flour he retrieves. Its slightly yellow hue indicates the absence of additives. His nostrils flare, as if he were transported to a golden wheat field. The rich aroma of wheat causes a pang of longing in his cheeks, a scent so natural that it relaxes the spirit, rivaling the effects of foreign essential oils. The beef remains astonishingly fresh, its surface adorned with marbled, snowflake-like patterns. It seems a shame to waste such fine meat. As the saying goes, good meat should not be minced, and fine fish should not be cut into pieces. Lin Guodong loosens his shoulders, wielding a knife in each hand, and begins to chop the cubed beef on the cutting board. 10 minutes later, he is panting from exertion, having opted not to use the kitchen blender. He believes that the blender yields meat too finely ground, robbing the dish of the delightful texture of beef chunks. This distinction between machine and manual preparation is significant. Lin Guodong then retrieves the water chestnuts, a knowing smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Am I being challenged? This is precisely what I desire. The peeled water chestnuts, pristine white with a hint of pale yellow, seem to embody a wealth of rich nutrients. Chopped into small pieces and incorporated into ground beef, this combination may appear peculiar. However, Lin Guodong had previously experimented with this method in his past life, achieving remarkable results. The addition of minced water chestnut not only enhances the tenderness of the meat, but also imparts a delightful crunch with each bite. This not only enriches the overall texture, but the sweet crispness of the water chestnut alleviates greasiness and adds fragrance. To further elevate the flavor of the meat mixture, he included finely chopped onions, scallions, pepper, 5-spice powder, and eggs, meticulously controlling the proportions of these seasonings. Excessive amounts could overshadow the exquisite aroma of the premium beef, while insufficient quantities would fail to enhance the flavor. His precision was not learned from books, but derived from countless experiments and experience. This explains why many buns and pastries disappoint in taste. Regardless of whether one samples beef, chicken, or pork buns, the predominant flavor often comes from the seasonings, rendering the filling unidentifiable without inquiry. The rationale behind such practices in bun shops is straightforward. The quality of the meat filling is subpar. When the original flavor is lacking, they resort to copious amounts of spices to mask it. Suddenly, Lin Guodong recalled a memory from his past life, teaching a foreign friend how to cook. After explaining the seasonings, his friend, bewildered, exclaimed, "Mr. Lin, I don't understand. What is a pinch of salt, a dash of soy sauce, or a sprinkle of peppermint? Oh my God. Can you tell me how much that is exactly? We foreigners have precise measurements for seasoning. Mr. Lin, you rely entirely on your experience and muscle memory for perfect seasoning?" Shaking off the recollection, Lin Guodong placed the prepared meat mixture in a bowl and vigorously stirred it in one direction, though he was breathless from the effort. This step was crucial, directly influencing the meat's ability to retain its juices and ultimately its flavor. Observing the mixture, a vibrant blend of white, red, and flecks of purple onion and green scallion, he inhaled deeply, the aroma intoxicating. He then retrieved a rolling pin and mixed fragrant flour with hot water to create a semi-cooked dough. After rolling out the dough on the countertop, He spread a modest amount of the rich meat filling over it. Layering another sheet of dough atop, he repeated the process of spreading meat filling and stacking, creating a towering assembly. In no time, the forms of beef pastries began to take shape. Lin Guodong then heated oil in a skillet, carefully regulating the temperature to avoid burning the dough while ensuring the filling cooked thoroughly. As the pastries sizzled in the pan, the oil danced around. And soon the filling warmed, the high heat melding the savory essence of the beef with the sweet aroma of the water chestnuts and various seasonings. The fragrance swirled fervently within the pastries, yet no matter how fervently it tried, it could not escape the resilient embrace of the dough, the delectable flavors locked within. He lowered the heat and covered the pan, allowing the fragrant steam to envelop the pastries, transforming the lid into a misty veil. After steaming the filling to perfection, he lifted the lid, and the essence of all the ingredients wafted out, accompanied by tendrils of blue smoke drifting out the window. Outside, a few brown magpies had perched on the railing, seemingly drawn in by the enchanting aroma. Lin Guodong placed the beef patty upon the cutting board and, wielding a kitchen knife, scraped away the surface grease with a satisfying sizzle. With precision, he swiftly sliced the patty into bite-sized triangular pieces, the blade gliding through the meat with a crisp sound reminiscent of potato chips, as the outer layer was fried to an exquisite crunch. The force with which the filling was kneaded was nothing short of perfection. After cutting, only a few drops of oil remained on the board, while the succulent juices remained securely locked within. From the cut, one could see the rich, reddish-brown beef mingling with the white water chestnuts, purple onions, and green scallions, resembling a masterpiece painted by a skilled artist, igniting an irresistible appetite. Lin Guodong took a bite of the patty. The initial crunch was followed by the unique elasticity of the dough, creating a striking contrast of textures. With another bite, the piping hot beef filling burst forth, its rich flavors undiminished by the accompanying ingredients. The combination of colors was perfectly balanced, enhancing the allure. As juices dribbled from the corner of Lin Guodong's mouth, he savored the delectable morsel greedily. After wiping his mouth, he repeated the process, cooking all the stuffed patties, cutting them into pieces, and placing them into a special insulated box designed to keep the patties warm without trapping excess steam that would soften the crispy exterior. Wouldn't it be rather monotonous to only eat the patties? Lin Guodong mused as he retrieved some eggs from the higher refrigerator, cracking them into a bowl and adding a suitable amount of water. He poured the mixture into a small white bowl and set it in the steamer. Before long, bowls of delicately fragrant steamed egg custard emerged. Lin Guodong brandished a Western chef's knife, skillfully carving cheerful faces into the custard, while drizzling sesame oil and seafood soy sauce for flavor. With everything prepared, he donned a pristine chef's uniform and pedaled his tricycle, humming a tune, towards the hospital. Upon arriving at the hospital entrance, Lin Guodong noticed the skeleton soldier squatting there with a lunchbox in hand. You wouldn't believe it, after yesterday's chaos. This tricycle feels so much easier to ride, the skeleton soldier remarked. Over the past few days, indulging in delightful meals had seemingly plumped his previously gaunt cheeks. At first glance, he resembled anything but a skeleton. Instead, he appeared as a handsome young man. Heh, old man, you've yet to see anything. My family has a long-standing tradition of repair skills. Just give me a moment to gather my thoughts and find the right tools to transform that tricycle into a fiery beast. But enough chit-chat. What are we having today? Lin Guodong parked the tricycle, opened the insulated cabinet, and retrieved several beef patties. I feared you might tire of rice after 3 days, so today, I've prepared you a layered beef patty. The skeleton soldier flinched at the mention. Seeing the look of confusion on Lin Guodong's face, he quietly replied, Old man, I'm from the south and am not fond of doughy foods. In the past, when I had meat patties, I would often ask the owner what filling it had. Moreover, the pastry was always tough on my teeth. After 2, my jaw would ache. Lin Guodong burst into hearty laughter. Once you finish my stuffed pastries, you'll want to toss all your rice aside when you get home. As she spoke, she served a savory pie into the skeleton soldier's bowl. With a crunch, he took a bite, and the rich broth trickled down the corner of his mouth, forcing him to fan his face with his hand. My goodness, the crust, how can it be so crisp, akin to potato chips? Yet it retains the delightful chewiness of dough. It is truly remarkable. Before he could finish his thought, the medley of delicious flavors from the filling erupted in the skeleton soldier's mouth, leaving him momentarily dazed as he savored the broth with his tongue, forgetting to chew. What began as cautious nibbling transformed into a frenzy as he discarded his chopsticks and savagely grasped the pie with his hands. Lin Guodong observed the skeleton soldier choking in his haste and promptly presented a steaming bowl of egg custard. The golden hue complemented the brown sauce, with a smiley face etched on top. Grandpa, you are amazing. Lin Guodong waved his hand dismissively. This is nothing. I'll carve you a tofu sculpture next time. The skeleton soldier, squatting on the ground, who typically shunned doughy foods, had already devoured 5 beef pies. As he tasted the tender, jelly-like egg custard, the rich aroma of eggs mingled with the piquancy of sesame oil, eliciting a satisfied groan from him. Ah, how fulfilling. It feels wonderful to be alive. With his belly full, the skeleton soldier gazed vacantly at the blue sky and white clouds above. The gentle breeze could not dissipate the lingering aroma in his mouth. At that moment, he desired nothing more than to savor the fragrance lingering between his lips and teeth, lying on the ground for a nap. Lin Guodong glanced around, puzzled, and finally inquired, "Why are you here alone today? Where's Jiang Yi?" The skeleton soldier paused for a moment before gathering his thoughts. "Grandpa." Jiang Yi went home to change her clothes. Lin Guodong scratched his head in confusion. Change her clothes? Why would she change just to have a meal? Chapter 21. As I took a bite, I looked up and asked the proprietor what filling was in this bun. Inside Jiangxing Hospital, Jiang Yi shed her hospital gown and gazed at her reflection in the mirror. In the past few days, indulging at her grandfather's place had added some much-needed flesh to her once frail body. The deep hollows of her cheeks were now slightly filled, and her sallow complexion had transformed into a rosy glow. Dressed in a green floral sundress, she was undeniably a youthful and radiant beauty. Who would have thought that just days ago, she had been a gaunt, bedridden patient suffering from anorexia? Jiang Yi smiled at her reflection, pinching her cheeks to exercise her facial muscles. The reason for her meticulous grooming today was to meet someone, her childhood friend, a boy with whom she had grown up. She hurried to the orthopedic rehabilitation center, and as she entered, she spotted a handsome boy seated on a bench, gritting his teeth as he manipulated a hand grip. Although the pressure applied to the device was minimal, it seemed he was exerting all his strength, beads of sweat dampening his bangs. "Xiaoliang." Jiang Yi called out as she skipped toward him. Xiaoliang, startled by the sound, turned to see Jiang Yi. "Jiang Yi, what brings you here?" Their eyes met, brimming with surprise and joy. Jiang Yi's appearance brought a spark to Xiaoliang's previously dull gaze. "Xiaoliang, I have been hospitalized here due to my anorexia. I noticed from your social media that you are undergoing rehabilitation training, so I came to see you." Xiaoliang lowered his head, feeling somewhat embarrassed as he spoke. "I apologize. It was never my intention to conceal anything from you, knowing that your health has also been fragile. I simply wish to spare you from unnecessary trips." "Huh." Xiaoliang's words trailed off as he gazed at Jiang Yi in confusion. The girl standing before him was a stark contrast to the image he had of her. "Weren't you once so averse to food that you became exceptionally thin? How is it that you appear so vibrant now?" Jiang Yi recounted the events, and Xiaoliang widened his eyes in astonishment. "My goodness, is this truly remarkable? A single meal has seemingly cured your anorexia. This surely deserves a place in medical history." Despite the incredulity in his tone, Xiaoliang's joyous expression revealed his genuine happiness for Jiang Yi's recovery. Observing Xiaoliang's elation, Jiang Yi hesitated for a moment before lowering her gaze and softly confessing, "In truth, I do not consider myself completely cured. My ailment was primarily psychological and remains untreatable. However, my grandfather imparted many valuable lessons, and I realize there is an abundance of delicious experiences in this world that I have yet to savor. If I do not strive to live fully, it would not only be unfair to others, but it would also be a disservice to myself for having the opportunity to exist in this life." Listening to Jiang Yi's words, Xiaoliang cast his eyes down at his trembling right hand, which was still unsteady from using a grip strengthener, and his gaze turned desolate. "Xiaoliang, has your hand still not healed?" Xiaoliang nodded, the sweat-soaked bangs swaying on his forehead. "Yes, ever since I injured the ligaments in my right hand and underwent surgery. The rehabilitation has yielded poor results. Perhaps I will never play the piano again." Upon hearing this, Jiang Yi sprang to her feet, her mind flooded with memories of the talented young prodigy. Not yet 25, he had won the national piano competition, attracting the attention of numerous esteemed pianists eager to mentor him. An array of accolades seemed to rain down upon him like a dream. Yet, life has its unpredictable twists, and one never knows when misfortune may strike. Xiaoliang's bicycle accident had resulted in a torn ligament in his right hand, and since the surgery, it had trembled without strength. Initially, the doctor had reassured him that it was a normal occurrence, and that perseverance in rehabilitation would lead to improvement. However, as time passed without progress, even the doctors were left perplexed. Jiang Yi had never experienced the sensation of plummeting from the heights of joy to the depths of despair. Yet, through Xiaoliang's eyes, filled with a sense of hopelessness, she could feel the profound anguish and impact this ordeal had on a young man in his early 20s. Thus, she smiled and extended her arms, embracing the boy tightly. "Jiang Yi, what are you doing? There are so many people." Xiaoliang's face flushed with surprise and shyness at her sudden affection. Jiang Yi chuckled, her laughter only deepening Xiaoliang's embarrassment. "Xiaoliang, are you feeling particularly down?" With a wry smile, Xiaoliang shook his head. "Not really. I've come to terms with things during this time. I've just been pondering what I could do if I can no longer play the piano. After all, I began learning at the age of 5. And now at 20, I feel as though I lack the skills to pursue anything else. My life seems to require a fresh start, akin to that of a newborn infant." As two individuals engaged in conversation, a woman of approximately 40 years approached. Upon noticing Jiang Yi, she paused momentarily before warmly inquiring. "Xiao Yi." Jiang Yi, hearing her voice, promptly stood and bowed respectfully. "Hello, Auntie." "Xiao Yi, is that truly you? Goodness, I hardly recognized you. Just the other day, I heard your mother speaking about your condition. You look splendid after this time apart. You hardly resemble a patient." As she uttered the word patient, the woman instinctively covered her mouth, seemingly at a loss for words. Liang, Xiao Yi is at the same hospital as you, so you needn't worry about boredom anymore." Liang, upon hearing this, remained silent but nodded slightly, accustomed to the woman's demeanor. With a cheerful expression, she continued nonchalantly, "All right, let us go eat. Xiaoyi, you should join us. I've brought some delicious food." Jiang Yi glanced at her watch. Realizing it was nearly 11:30, she feared she would miss the chance to queue for a meal. Ever since she had tasted her grandfather's signature rice dish, she found herself restless and miserable if a day passed without it. Were it not for her grandfather's benevolent nature, she might have suspected the food contained some addictive substance. Yet, feeling too polite to decline, she followed her into the ward. Liang's mother produced 2 baskets of steamed buns. "I spent ages reading reviews last night, and everyone praises the buns from this shop for their exquisite flavor. I made a special trip this morning to buy them. You too must try." After several days of dining at her grandfather's, Jiang Yi found herself unable to resist food and was gradually accepting it. However, for someone accustomed to the culinary creations of a national banquet chef, transitioning to pre-packaged meals was somewhat disconcerting. Seeing Liang's mother so enthusiastic, Jiang Yi reluctantly closed her eyes and took a generous bite of the bun. Observing her take such a large mouthful, the woman thought to herself that the wait this morning had not been in vain. She smiled and asked, "Is it delicious?" "Oh, Xiaoyi, what filling did you get?" "I mixed them up in one bag." Jiang Yi, after chewing a couple of times, awkwardly replied, "Auntie, I can't quite discern the filling." Intrigued by her response, the woman took a bite of her own bun, only to be met with the overwhelming taste of dough. The dough was even undercooked, and upon closer inspection, she noticed pale, hard lumps within the skin. Indeed, they had not been steamed properly. Whereas the filling, did they forget to include it? How can this be recommended? The bidding rankings are truly misleading. Upon hearing the woman's exclamation, Jiang Yi burst out laughing, inadvertently spitting out the bun. Liang's mother, witnessing this, also covered her mouth and laughed heartily, the 2 women sharing a moment of genuine joy. However, as their laughter subsided and their attention shifted to the hospital bed, they saw Liang sitting quietly, his expression clouded with sorrow as he gazed at his trembling right hand, as if he did not belong to this space. Liang, I'm sorry, dear. Your mother made a misstep. You'll have to make do with this today." Liang silently nodded, his right hand gripping the disposable chopsticks in an unusual manner. The 2 white bamboo chopsticks seemed to possess a will of their own in his grasp. At first glance, they appeared entirely misaligned, swaying gently like a fluttering maple leaf. With a sharp clatter, the bamboo chopsticks fell to the ground, while Xiao Liang clutched his left hand tightly around his right. In no time, the blood circulation in his already compromised right hand shifted from pallid to crimson. His flushed face seemed to radiate an overwhelming sense of frustration without an outlet. Xiao Liang's mother felt a pang of sorrow in her heart. Yet she endeavored to take a deep breath to alleviate her expression, speaking in a calm tone. "Xiao Liang, please don't squeeze like that. Your arm isn't getting any blood." Jiang Yi, witnessing this, felt a stab of pain and suddenly pulled her aside. "Auntie, regardless of how Xiao Liang's hand may recover, we must encourage him to regain his spirit swiftly. If he continues to wear such a sorrowful expression daily, it will be detrimental to his recovery, don't you agree?" The woman, upon hearing this, felt a wave of sadness wash over her. Every parent harbors the hope of seeing their child excel. It would be one thing if the child remained ordinary, as long as he grew up happy and carefree. Yet, the laurels had already been placed upon Xiao Liang's head. Why must they cruelly be stripped away, leaving behind a blood-soaked tapestry of scars? Xiaoyi, even if he cannot play the piano again, I wish for him to be joyful, but Annie feels powerless. "Annie, do you trust me? You know I once struggled with anorexia, and there was a time I wished to cease existing, but look at me now." Jiang Yi twirled on the spot, her dress flowing like a blooming oil paper umbrella. With a charming smile gracing her face, she exuded an aura of vivaciousness. "Auntie, I have a way to help Xiao Liang." The woman initially thought Jiang Yi was merely trying to comfort her, as she had heard such words far too many times over the years. However, reflecting on Jiang Yi's previous state and observing her current demeanor, a glimmer of hope sparked in her dim eyes. "Xiaoyi, if you can heal Xiao Liang, we are willing to try any method. It must be quite expensive, but you needn't worry about the cost. Just tell Annie how much is required. I would sell my house and car if necessary to cure Xiao Liang." Jiang Yi replied with a smile. "Auntie, there's no need to sell your house or car. It's just 30. Xiao Liang's mother, upon hearing this, felt her mind short-circuit. "Xiaoyi, please don't jest with Auntie. What can $30 buy? A boxed meal?" Jiang Yi nodded. "Auntie, indeed, it's a boxed meal." She then took the bewildered Xiao Liang and his mother by the hand, and the 3 of them hurried to the hospital entrance. Upon exiting, Jiang Yi spotted the skeletal soldier lounging on the steps, leaning against the wall with his eyes squinted towards the sky. The warmth of the sun enveloped him, and the air was imbued with the scent of summer sunlight. Reminiscent of linens drying outdoors, bathed in sunlight, he felt drowsy, as if he had bypassed 50 years of struggle and had retired early. Ahead, Lin Guodong, clad in a pristine white chef's uniform, was busily attending to the meal cart. "Grandpa." Lin Guodong, upon hearing the call, turned to see Jiang Yi, her appearance instantly brightening his mood. Today, she had forsaken her usual striped hospital garb for a vibrant floral dress, transforming into a lively and spirited young girl. "Oh, little Jiang Yi, you look particularly lovely today," he remarked playfully. Jiang Yi, catching Lin Guodong's teasing glance and noticing the presence of Xiao Yang beside her, felt a flush of warmth rise to her cheeks. "Oh, not at all. I dress like this every day, Grandpa. What are we having for lunch today?" Lin Guodong lifted the lid of the thermal container, releasing a mouth-watering aroma of neatly arranged meat pies, reminiscent of Lego bricks. Even Xiao Yang, who typically showed little interest in anything, couldn't help but twitch his nose in response. "Grandpa, this is my good friend, Xiao Yang, and beside him is his mother. Could we please have 3 servings of those meat pies?" Xiao Yang quickly waved his hands in refusal. Still haunted by the earlier trauma of not being able to eat buns in the hospital, being in front of his mother and Jiang Yi was manageable. But the thought of revealing his shortcomings on the street made him feel utterly miserable. "Jiang Yi, you go ahead and eat. I'm not very hungry." At this, the nearby skeleton soldier seemed to awaken from a stupor, his bewildered expression conveying disbelief. "My goodness, if I weren't already eating, I would feel like I might burst. Do you have any idea how delicious these pies are? So good that I genuinely regret not being from the north, where I could have savored them sooner." Xiao Yang, momentarily taken aback by the skeleton soldier's ramblings, remained silent. Jiang Yi turned, her eyes filled with sincerity. "Xiao Yang, we've grown up together since childhood. Do you really doubt me? They are truly, exceptionally delicious." Without waiting for further discussion, Lin Guodong directly served 3 portions of layered beef pies. Jiang Yi settled on the steps, joyfully indulging in her meal, while Xiao Yang felt compelled to join her, staring at the enticing pies before him. The pale yellow crust, adorned with numerous brown patterns, appeared irresistibly crisp and delectable. Yet, he struggled to lift his chopsticks, not wanting to expose his perceived inadequacy to the others. Sitting by the roadside with food in hand, but not eating felt oddly pitiable. Resigned, he adopted an unconventional grip on the chopsticks, resembling a dagger-wielding stance, and jabbed at the pie. Crack! The crisp sound echoed, reminiscent of biting into a potato chip, igniting Xiao Yang's curiosity. As he pulled the chopsticks away, a plume of steam wafted from the opening, carrying the tantalizing scent. "What a fragrant beef aroma!" he exclaimed, feeling a twinge of salivation as his cheeks tingled. Peering into the triangular cut of the pie, he observed a vibrant medley of colors within the filling, stimulated by both smell and sight. Xiao Yang instinctively adopted a baby-like posture as he clumsily grasped the chopsticks, resembling a fork, and tentatively took a bite. In that singular mouthful, the savory juices burst forth, enveloping his palate with the exquisite flavor of beef. Just as he detected a hint of greasiness, the crisp sweetness of water chestnut emerged, perfectly balancing the richness in his mouth with a delightful sweetness. Just when he believed the flavor had reached its climax, the minced meat, infused with the piquant essence of onions and scallions, awakened his appetite, compelling him to indulge in another bite. Simultaneously, the medley of spices erupted in his mouth. Unable to resist, he took another bite, savoring the tender beef combined with the crispness of water chestnuts. The sensation was akin to a harmonious piano sonata, rich and varied. The more Xiao Yang ate, the more he craved, yet he found that his unconventional grip on the chopsticks significantly hampered his dining speed. Consequently, he attempted to use a more traditional grasp to lift the meat pie. Unsurprisingly, the greasy surface of the pie caused it to slip from the chopsticks, plummeting into the bowl. This cycle of attempts continued, grasping, dropping, grasping, and dropping, while his mother observed with a pang of sorrow. This was precisely why she had purchased buns. Xiao Yang was not left-handed. Now, he struggled to maintain a grip with his right hand. With a strong sense of pride, he refused to allow anyone to feed him. Typically, he consumed food that could be handled with his hands or drank porridge with a spoon. However, the more he neglected his meals, the poorer his nutrition became, adversely affecting his mood and recovery. She understood that he would soon, as usual, angrily abandon his chopsticks and leave the table. Unable to bear the disappointment etched on his face, she gently closed her eyes. "Delicious." The woman heard Xiao Yang's exclamation and looked up in surprise. Upon opening her eyes, she was astounded by the sight before her. Realizing he could not manage the chopsticks, Xiao Yang simply discarded them and began to eat the meat pie directly with his right hand, determined to savor another bite of the filling. This scene left her in disbelief. Xiao Yang had always been a particularly tidy child, meticulous about cleanliness, constantly wiping his hands and mouth. What was happening today? Eating with his hands. "Jiang Yi, this meat pie is simply exquisite. How could you wait until now to tell me?" Jiang Yi watched as Xiao Yang's face glistened with grease, his eyes sparkling with joy and laughter. "Not at all. I only met Grandpa a couple of days ago." "Xiao Yang, if you enjoy it, I will accompany you for meals every day from now on, shall I?" Xiao Yang, unsure if he had misunderstood Jiang Ye's intention, suddenly felt his cheeks flush with embarrassment but nodded fervently in agreement. Soon, he finished one meat pie and quietly asked Jiang Yi, "Can I have another? I'm still hungry." Lin Guodong served more meat pies to everyone. Observing Xiao Yang's unique dining style, he softly inquired, "Jiang Yi, why doesn't that child use chopsticks?" After listening to Jiang Ye's explanation, he began to grasp the situation. Lin Guodong quietly gazed at the silver dining cabinet. Today, I brought Xiao Liang here to let him sample Grandpa's culinary delights and to help him meet new friends. At the very least, we must find a way for him to regain his spirits, Jiang Yi explained. As he processed Jiang Ye's words, Lin Guodong wiped the dining cabinet with a pristine cloth, seemingly lost in thought. As everyone sat, content and gazing at the sky with full bellies, Lin Guodong wiped his hands clean, took a bit of raw meat filling from the bowl, and approached Xiao Liang. Child, let me offer you something to eat. Chapter 23. Captain, I am a security guard, not a bodyguard. Xiao Liang, bewildered, opened his mouth as Lin Guodong directly stuffed a small piece of raw meat filling into it. Spitting it out, Xiao Liang was met with a lump of uncooked meat, looking at Lin Guodong with a mix of confusion and fear. Upon witnessing this, Xiao Liang's mother, who was not known for her patience, instantly became furious. Although she had softened towards her injured son, it did not erase her previous assertive demeanor. Rolling up her sleeves, she was ready to confront Lin Guodong, but her hurried steps halted abruptly upon hearing his words. Child, do you find it unpalatable? Yet, this was the very pie you just relished. At this, Lin Guodong, leaning on his knee, slowly rose. Stooping slightly, he walked towards the food cart and handed Xiao Liang a bowl of egg cake. Do you know how to make a pie? Xiao Liang accepted the egg cake, shaking his head in confusion, remnants of raw meat still lingering at the corners of his mouth. This pie originally comprised nothing more than scattered flour and unappetizing meat filling. Through countless kneads and strikes, it was shaped into a form not inherent to it. In a pan, subjected to 200 degrees of oil, it was fried and steamed. Indeed, it transformed, no longer resembling its former self, yet this did not diminish its deliciousness. Xiao Liang gazed up at Lin Guodong, whose hunched, wrinkled face bore the marks of age, signifying that his life was nearing its end. Nevertheless, this did not detract from the warmth and brilliance of his smile. Turning his attention to the elderly man, now focused on flipping pies at the food cart, Xiao Liang realized that this grandfather had devoted his life to mastering the culinary arts, achieving such skill through relentless perseverance. Looking down at his trembling right hand, he couldn't help but feel a sense of absurdity. I ponder daily, since fate granted me such achievements at 20, why now must it forsake me? I believe my life was utterly over, yet I failed to consider that a typical person at 20 remains in school, yet to embark on their societal journey. Even if I cannot play the piano in the future, there is still a long road ahead of me. Everything is still in its infancy. As Xiao Liang lifted the lid of the bowl, his furrowed brow relaxed upon seeing the egg cake. Inside lay a golden, jelly-like, Q-shaped egg cake, imprinted with a smiling face by Lin Guodong. There are still so many beautiful experiences awaiting me in this world. Gripping the spoon with his trembling right hand, he resolutely finished the egg cake, the rich aroma of egg masking the taste of raw meat filling. Rising, he bowed deeply to Lin Guodong. Thank you, grandfather. Wiping his hands, he turned to head towards the hospital. Xiao Liang, where are you going? His mother called out. Turning back with a smile, he replied, Mom, I'm going back to do my rehabilitation exercises. Once I recover, I want to sit under the spotlight and play the piano. As Xiao Liang walked away, Lin Guodong, with his hunched back and hands clasped behind him, sighed. Ah, youth is truly wonderful. At the same time, he thought, I hope to complete this task swiftly. I can hardly manage this old body any longer. Upon hearing Lin Guodong's words, Xiao Liang's mother realized that her son was not suffering from post-surgical trauma at all. Instead, it was merely a manifestation of his tender age and the psychological backlash from his fall from the throne, a heartache. Truly, it could have been resolved with a mere 30 yuan. She gazed at Lin Guodong, at a loss for words, her emotions seemingly too immense to articulate. Thus, she bowed deeply to him, and in the fleeting moment of turning away, a few tears cascaded down like a whirlpool onto the dining cart. The intense heat instantaneously vaporized the tears into mist, mingling with the enticing aromas wafting from the cart. Jiang Yi cast a grateful glance at Lin Guodong before checking her phone and noticing the time was drawing near. She opened the group chat to draft a message. Grandpa's gourmet rice bowl is ready. However, today we shall forego the rice bowl. Huh? If not rice bowls, then what? Noodle bowls? Oh dear. How pitiful you are upstairs. Have you only ever tasted rice bowls and noodle bowls? Can't we indulge in some exquisite secret mini burgers? Burgers can't compare to our country's dumplings. The filling is simply divine. Jiang Yi snapped a photo of the dumpling, capturing the perfect angle of its cut. You upstairs are simply adorable. You guessed it right away. Wow, the layers of flaky crust on this dumpling are utterly magnificent. Not just the crust. Look at the filling inside. Just the sight of it makes my mouth water. Grandpa, your culinary skills are astonishing. As an art student, I must say your dumplings are more aesthetically pleasing than my paintings. Another photo appeared in the chat, featuring a fellow patient wearing an eye mask. Chat away. Indulge yourselves. I have arrived. What the heck? Who is this newcomer? Kick him out, group leader. Observing that the other patients had received the messages, Jiang Yi playfully stuck out her tongue at Lin Guodong. Grandpa, I want to assist you today. I'm off to check on Xiao Liang and see if he is diligently practicing his rehabilitation. Lin Guodong smiled and nodded. Go ahead. Pursuing romance is important. As the clock approached 11:30, the hospital security stood on the first floor, drenched in sweat and poised for action. following Director Zhang's instructions. They had set up isolation barriers in advance to prevent any escape attempts by patients seeking food. The security personnel looked tense, their knuckles whitening as they gripped their walkie-talkies. "Everyone, they're coming. Prepare yourselves." The security team responded in unison, "Yes, Captain." At that moment, it was not just the security who was perspiring profusely. The elevator was as well. If it had known the burden it would bear after leaving the factory, it would have preferred to remain there to rust. Peering through the elevator doors, one could see it packed to the brim, resembling a bundle stuffed with cotton. A patient, squished against the elevator wall, shouted in frustration, "Don't push. Who the hell stepped on my toenail? Don't blame me. I didn't even touch the ground. I was just swept in. I feel you, man. Where are you all headed?" "I just passed by the elevator and didn't intend to go down. I was trying to reach the restroom. I can't believe this. I thought returning to Jiangxing for my life in the north would spare me the morning rush of the capital S subway. There is no escape, absolutely none." As the elevator descended to the first floor, the doors opened slowly, revealing a cascade of blue and white hospital gowns, flowing like cream. The security guard, sensing the impending chaos, raised his megaphone and began to shout, "Do not crowd. Please evacuate in an orderly fashion, following the designated pathways. Why are you in a wheelchair again? Can't your roommate bring your meal down for you? You've knocked over the barriers." The guard, drenched in sweat, continued to call out, yet he was unable to control the rush of patients eager to escape for food. One particularly frazzled security officer, his hat knocked off and uniform in disarray, exclaimed, "Captain, you never mentioned we needed experience in crowd control when I came to work. Enough of your nonsense. I only just learned about this myself. Do you think I have any expertise?" Chapter 24. The inspection team forms a line for meals. The patients surged forward like a steamroller, flattening the barriers as they rushed out of the hospital and towards the entrance. There stood Lin Guodong, wielding a large spoon ready to greet everyone. "Grandpa, I'm here. I couldn't sleep last night. I bet my roommate on what you would cook today." Lin Guodong chuckled and replied, "Oh, who won? Neither of us. We can never predict what you'll make, Grandpa." The patients formed an orderly line, raising their colorful meal containers. "Those at the front, please consider those behind you. Don't act as if you've never eaten before. You talk too much. Even if I buy a lot, Grandpa won't sell to me any more than necessary. He always ensures we have enough, but never wasteful, so that everyone can have a meal." As Lin Guodong lifted the lid of the meal, an intense aroma of beef wafted through the air, bold and captivating. The first in line was an ophthalmology patient. "Hey, young man, why have you removed your eye patch? Are you better now?" "Yes, Grandpa. The doctor said I could be discharged yesterday, but I don't want to go home. It's too far and would affect my ability to come for meals." Next in line was an adorable girl of about 14 or 15. Using a crutch with her leg encased in plaster, Lin Guodong noticed that the once stark white plaster now bore an unusual charm. What is this on your foot?" The girl playfully stuck out her tongue and lifted her leg, revealing that she had adorned the smooth white plaster with colorful drawings. It was a familiar sight, reminiscent of the simple sketches beloved by children of the 80s and 90s. Old Man Ding. Lin Guodong couldn't help but reminisce about his own childhood. These were the most popular doodles. "An old man Ding owes me 2 eggs. I said 3 days. He said 4 days. You get a big duck egg." As the girl showcased her artwork while singing the nursery rhyme, the crowd erupted in laughter, recognizing that the character was indeed Lin Guodong himself. Amidst the cheerful atmosphere, as the patients eagerly lined up for their beef pies, a sudden screeching sound broke through the commotion. A vehicle came to a halt by the roadside, and out stepped a fellow patient who had provided Lin Guodong with a makeshift chair the previous day. "Grandpa, I brought you a chair, so everyone won't have to squat while eating." Lin Guodong wiped the grease from his hands with a white apron and hurried over. "Thank you, young man. You've been a tremendous help. Otherwise, I truly wouldn't be able to manage all these chairs. How much do they cost in total?" After some polite refusals, Lin Guodong ultimately purchased the chairs at a remarkably low price. Observing this, the patients who had been waiting in line promptly gathered their lunchboxes and approached. "Grandpa, be careful not to strain your back. Let us handle it." A long line of fellow patients formed, passing the small stools along like a game of hot potato. "You there, with your arm in a cast, you shouldn't be carrying anything. And you, pregnant lady, take care of yourself. Oh, you're quite hefty." With collective effort, the group swiftly arranged a dozen stools neatly on the ground. At that moment, several individuals approached, revealing themselves to be the inspection team that had visited the hospital the previous day. The middle-aged man at the forefront was clad in a black administrative jacket, his thinning hair glinting under the sunlight, a clear sign of his leadership status as he listened attentively to a colleague's explanation. "Minister Chong, Jiangxing First Hospital truly deserves its reputation as a model hospital at the municipal level. I had the opportunity to observe it yesterday. Not only are the facilities top-notch, but the doctor-patient relationships are remarkably harmonious. The patients are vibrant and lively, hardly resembling individuals who are unwell. They seem to sprint like retired sprinters with their canes." Minister Chong nodded with a smile. "I am aware of this hospital's comprehensive strength, but your praise seems somewhat exaggerated." Sensing Minister Chang's skepticism, the staff member named Xiao Yang hurriedly added, "I was equally astonished at first. The scene of the elevator bursting with people was akin to a movie. If you don't believe me, I can show you." Before Xiao Yang could finish, their path was obstructed by a line of patients dressed in hospital gowns, seamlessly passing stools to one another toward a roadside stall. The entire process was orderly, devoid of conversation, reminiscent of factory workers expertly assembling components. Minister Chong scratched his thinning hair in confusion. Is this a sports activity organized by the hospital? The onlookers, curious, stood aside to watch as the patients arranged the stools and then lined up again in front of a tricycle with fellow patients who had purchased beef-filled pastries nearby. It then became clear that they were all queuing for food. Minister Chong furrowed his brow and inquired with concern, is there no cafeteria in this hospital? Why are patients having to come out to buy meals? Look, even those on crutches are here. How dangerous is that? His gaze at Xiao Yang betrayed his dissatisfaction, as the situation he observed starkly contrasted with Xiao Yang's earlier feedback. At this moment, Xiao Yang appeared flustered. It wasn't like this yesterday, Minister Chong. There is a cafeteria. I visited it yesterday. Perhaps the roadside stall is hosting some event? Minister Chong pondered for a moment, glancing down at his watch. It's not yet time for our appointment with Dean Zhang. Let us join the queue and take a look. Inside the office of the dean at Jiangxing First Hospital. As the appointed time approached, Zhang, the director, anxiously glanced at the tepid tea on the table, devoid of rising steam, while frequently checking his watch. What if something has gone awry? With this thought, he rose and descended the stairs, making his way to the hospital entrance. Adjusting his glasses, which had been hastily repaired with tape the previous night, he was startled to see a high-ranking official accompanied by a delegation, queuing in front of Lin Guodong's food cart. Zhang felt a sudden spike in his blood pressure, his head spinning. He shook his head, attempting to dispel his worries, took a deep breath to steady himself, and hurried over. Ah, Minister Chong, I've been waiting for you. I grew concerned and came to check, he said. Minister Chong, upon seeing Director Zhang, waved his hand apologetically. My apologies, I thought we had not yet reached our scheduled meeting time, and I was curious about what all these patients are purchasing. Have you eaten, Director Zhang? Shall we dine together? Zhang swallowed hard. He had indeed arranged for lunch at the cafeteria. However, since the minister had spoken, he felt compelled to acquiesce. Yet, observing the long queue, he hesitated to keep the minister waiting. Rubbing his hands together, he contemplated asking Lin Guodong if he could cut in line, being the director. Suddenly, he heard Minister Chang's voice calling out from behind. Director Zhang, we've been in line for a while now. It won't be long before our turn. Look at all these patients. Everyone is quite anxious. Zhang discerned the underlying message in Minister Chang's words. How could they, in their urgency, surpass the needs of those patients leaning on crutches? Embarrassed, he nodded slightly and took his place at the end of the line. When it was Minister Chang's turn to purchase, he was somewhat surprised to see that the vendor was a man in his 60s, having grown up in a rural setting. He was no stranger to hardship and had considerable experience with street vending. While this endeavor might appear simple, it was far from easy. The vendor was not using an electric cart, but rather a manual tricycle, hauling a significant amount of food each day. As everyone in the delegation enjoyed their stuffed pastries while seated on small stools, it was evident that Minister Chong, with age, had become somewhat portly. His round belly rested uncomfortably on the stool, straining his belt. However, as Director Zhang glanced up, he saw no trace of discomfort on Minister Chang's face. Instead, he radiated joy, as if he were immersed in a warm spring, his expression brimming with bliss. Who would have thought? Truly, there are hidden talents among the populace. Minister Chong remarked with a smile directed at Zhang. Where did you find this exceptional chef? Surely, this is not a mere benefit for the hospital patients. His words elicited hearty laughter from the group, leaving Zhang feeling quite embarrassed. He indeed had the desire. Yet the crux of the matter lay in Lin Guodong's utter reluctance to accept the invitation to the cafeteria. Oh dear. The meat filling. One bite, and I can already sense the proprietor is bound to incur losses. The quantity of beef in this mixture is simply astounding. Yang, seated beside Dean Chong, took a bite and couldn't help but sing its praises. The minister remarked, as a northerner, I can tell the moment I taste this dough. It is not the ordinary frozen pastry purchased online from street vendors. Its crisp exterior and tender interior, coupled with its delightful chewiness, clearly indicate that the proprietor has skillfully kneaded high-quality fresh flour on the very day. Everyone turned to glance at Lin Guodong. The old gentleman appeared frail, and kneading dough is indeed a laborious task. Moreover, with such a large quantity, just how long would it take? Hearing this, Minister Chong chuckled as he took a bite of the stuffed pastry. What? Do you look down upon us middle-aged folks? We are resilient and shall not be outdone by the younger generation. Dean Zhang, observing their playful banter, began to sweat nervously. What sort of minister leads an inspection team to a hospital, and even if they wish to avoid suspicion of dining in a high-end hotel, must they resort to sitting by the roadside like children in kindergarten? As Lin Guodong noticed that everyone had nearly finished eating, he brought over several small bowls. Slow down. This is a complimentary egg custard for you to taste. Minister Chong promptly expressed his gratitude and took it, only to be astonished upon opening it. Old sir, why is there a smiley face carved into this? Lin Guodong replied with a smile. Firstly, it makes it easier for the seasoning to infuse. Secondly, many of my patrons are patients, who feels joyful when they are unwell and hospitalized. Seeing a smiling face might bring a little cheer to the children. Upon hearing this, including Dean Zhang, Everyone felt a sudden heaviness in their hearts, as if a great stone had lodged itself within, causing their appetites to vanish. Minister Chang set down his chopsticks and said, Dean Zhang, healthcare professionals do not merely treat illnesses. Remember, patients are merely unwell, not at fault. We must always bear in mind that they are also emotional beings. Only in this way can the doctor-patient relationship reach new heights. Dean Zhang nodded in agreement and quietly replied. Minister Chang continued, in fact, I had previously inquired of this old gentleman whether he would consider working in the hospital cafeteria given his culinary prowess. However, he felt that with the added costs of rent, the prices would become too steep, potentially leaving some patients unable to afford the meals. A young man from the inspection team